with this over the last few days. So we'll go ahead and start the live on TikTok in three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Happy to say all of the equipment, all of the streams are up. We're on Clapper, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube horizontal, and YouTube vertical. So all of the cameras do seem to be working. You see what's on the monitor behind me? A pressing question. Why the hell would anybody be asking, will we survive Trump? And there goes my HDMI. But why would we be asking, will we survive Trump? Well, there is no shortage of folks suggesting that under the Trump administration, the republic, or for some of you folks want to say democracy, is at risk. This is what folks are saying. They're saying that democracy is at risk. And it's not just a bunch of bleeding heart liberals saying this. I know where folks are going to go with this. This is what's coming from the mouths of a bunch of, libtards, so to speak, tree hugging liberals. But fact is, there are a lot of folks that are not that do not identify as Democrats saying this as well, which is why I'm asking that question. Do you think we will survive the Trump years? And if so, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of people that would certainly say, yes, we will survive the Trump years. We're also going to ask, what will they be like? Trump has a little bit more than about 3.5 months, 3.5 years rather, a little slightly less, because the next election is going to be in November of 2028. So he will get to serve all the way till January of 2029. So actually about 3.5 years, a good solid 3.5 years President Trump still has. And the question is going to be, obviously, what will America be like after that? I mean, Trump has made a lot of inroads. Whether you like Trump, whether you dislike Trump, whether you favor him or you despise him, it's undeniable that he's done a lot in the short period of time he's been in office. In fact, Trump has probably done more in his short period of his second term than any other president in history, including Trump 45. He's done more than Trump 45 by a lot. I believe he's well over, with emphasis on well, he is well over 100 executive orders already. So he's done a lot in a short period of time. And of course, he is constantly talking about doing a hell of a lot more. As we speak, there are literally protests all over the country, so he's going to try to squelch those by sending in the military to various states. We're threatening to bomb Iran right now. He's obviously working on some sort of deal between the Ukraine and Russia, which doesn't seem to be culminating into anything. We don't know what the hell's going on with Gaza and Israel from a U.S. standpoint. It just appears as if Trump has told the nation of Israel, do what you must, and we'll just offer a few random statements to the public occasionally. But in regards to what is Trump doing to end that war in Israel, does anybody have an answer for that? Remember, he was talking about ending these wars in periods of time similar to like 24 hours. Does anybody know what his plan is for Israel and Gaza? I don't think he's even discussed it. I don't believe he's even really discussed that region over the last month or so. So we'll talk about all that, but the guy has accomplished a lot in his short period of time. You may disagree with it, but there's no denying Trump has done a lot in a short period of time. Fact is, a lot of my beloved MAGA viewers, when asked to give a letter grade on Trump's performance so far, are giving him an A+. I've asked on many live streams, what letter grade would you give Trump so far after 3 months in office, 4 months in office? A+. I've heard a lot of folks suggest that Trump is worthy of an A+ already. Listen, we could go back and forth on that. We could certainly push back under the notion that an A+ means your grade is essentially perfect. Even if you think Trump did a good job, the question becomes, do you believe he has done so well that there is virtually no room for improvement? After all, you can't score higher than an A+. So a lot of folks have given Trump an A+. We can talk about any, from all the way down to an F- if you go far enough on the progressive side. So we're going to discuss, do you believe we are likely to survive the Trump years? And if so, what will America be like come January 2029? Even though under the Trump years, that seems like eons in the future, 3.5 years flies by. 3.5. By the way, you can just look at the Biden years. Did the Biden years seem to be very long? Did it feel like Biden was in office for a very long period of time? Probably not. But I think under Trump, you're going to have a different feeling. It's probably, Trump years, literally, the Trump era makes Biden's time look like dog years. Biden's time in office, 1 year of Trump feels like 7 years of Biden. That's how much Trump is moving. So we'll talk about that. Also, I want to ask you folks something. And of course, we always say no wrong answers. In fact, I got two questions I want to ask you now that I'm actually thinking about it. The first question, something being rather simple, but it is law enforcement related. Because I just did a video on this. Do you support law enforcement, any branch in this country? Everything from the IRS to your local beat cop, state trooper, we're talking ICE and Immigration Border Patrol. Do you support any form of law enforcement in this country being allowed to wear masks to conceal themselves during an encounter and having no nameplate? Now, obviously, we're going to ask this question because if something goes wrong during that encounter, how can you file a complaint? You don't even know who the hell you were dealing with. You can't just simply say some cop in a mask beat my ass. That's not going to go anywhere. You don't even have a name. So do you support law enforcement being able to conceal their identity during the entire encounter? Now, for obvious reasons, we're asking that. It's because it's happening all over America. And nobody could ever pretend as though the only people that ICE are dealing with are illegal immigrants. Plenty of Americans are being confronted by ICE. When they go and raid some workplace or they're hanging outside of Home Depot, they're having conversations and encounters with red-blooded, natural-born U.S. citizens. And once again, as I stated, if they shove you out of the way or say something out of hand or draw down on you, unlawfully, who you going to complain about? Some dude wearing black? I was mistreated. I had an ICE official aim a gun at me. Okay, well, who was it? I don't know. He didn't have a name tag. Where's that complaint going? You got a hell of a lot of people who file complaints and they actually have the names and pictures of the person they're having a problem with and it doesn't go anywhere. Imagine filing a complaint against a cop with no name. Do you support allowing law enforcement to conceal themselves during the entire encounter while you have to identify yourselves? We'll talk about that. Last but not least, before we start taking calls and going into comments, and by the way, tap the damn screen, get the likes on up to 10,000. It helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. Yeah, Cedric, appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you for supporting the program. Cedric Heine, we are MAGA friendly. Regardless of any politics you hear on this channel, regardless of what opinions you hear, we are indeed MAGA friendly. Liberals are welcome as well. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. So understand that it's a free speech program. You can be critical of anyone on this program, including yours truly. We don't limit time because you got a damn different opinion. That's how free speech works here. So understand that. This is an uncensored program. If the apps will let you talk, so will yours truly. Last question. Are we going broke? Are we going broke? Remember when Trump campaigned, it was on getting the deficit under control, outrageous spending, fiscal responsibility. Are we going broke is the question I'm asking. Waste, fraud, and abuse being found everywhere by the leading agent of Doge, Elon Musk. We fired tens of thousands of federal employees. We stopped sending any money to USAID. In fact, we damn near stopped sending money to all entities overseas. Some have estimated as much as 600,000 folks have lost their lives due to us not helping medically, prescription-wise, treatment-wise to all of the folks we were helping overseas. We ended all of that. I'm asking, are we broke? Because some are saying lowest 40 million, high estimates 90 million. We're having a military parade in 2 days. Where do we find the money for that if we're having to terminate American citizens from their federal jobs? We're threatening Medicare and Medicaid provisions, which is going to hurt red-blooded Americans, Farm subsidies have been canceled. Are we broke? Are we broke? Now, I'm sure many of you are aware, if not all of you are aware, that we have a skirmish. I'm going to come up with a word here, skirmish in Southern California. Rioting. They are rioting in Southern California. However, have you seen the map representing the actual geographic area that's being affected in Southern Cal? It is incredibly small. We sent in the National Guard. We didn't stop there. We sent in the U.S. Marines. Once again, the price tag estimate has been as high as $134 million for this tiny geographical area in Southern California that really spans a few blocks downtown Los Angeles. Folks that are in the region, folks on the ground in Los Angeles have stated you can live your life as normal in LA. You literally have to go find the area they're protesting in to even know what's going on. The area being protested in Los Angeles, the whole city is not burning down. In fact, I haven't seen any structures on fire. Have you seen any structures on fire in LA other than some cars? Have you seen any buildings being burned down? There's graffiti everywhere. But have you really seen, we're talking to U.S. Marines. We went above the National Guard and sent in the Marines as well. $134 million. So the question in regards to all this is, are we broke? Or do we simply have no money for things we don't give a damn about, and we can find money for things we do? And of course, it would be a whole different live stream to bring up the fact that Trump just accepted a jet from the nation of Qatar, depending on your pronunciation, and it's going to cost tens of millions of dollars to make that jet flight worthy for a U.S. president. And it's only going to be used by Trump. Once Trump is out of office, that jet goes to a museum, and the actual replacement for Air Force One will be available to his predecessor. But it's going to cost tens of millions of dollars to make that jet flight worthy. Are we broke? I'm asking that question. Because we seem to have money for certain things, and as I just stated, whether it's a parade, whether it's a jet from Qatar, these things are not mandatory. No American lives would be affected if we didn't have that stuff, totaling hundreds of millions of dollars. But yet we're okay with firing for them. Are we broke? So look it in the comments. By the way, tap the screen. I see the comments. Who was that? The family member said, I'm broke. Damn right. As a citizen, yes. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 15,000. We'll take a caller at 15,000. Read in the comments, we told the Ukraine we would protect them if they gave up their nuclear weapons. And that also should be added in the mix. Not only did we stop sending money to USAID, we costing the lives of lots of folks that were needing that food supplies, medical supplies, prescriptions. We cut all them off, folks with HIV and all of that. 600,000 deaths they're reporting. Ukrainian aid that's been cut off likely resulted in at least hundreds of deaths as well. By not giving the Ukrainians any assistance, surveillance, weapons, you name it, we've caused some Ukrainian deaths as well. Are we broke? That is the question we're asking. Looking in the comment, Ukraine never had nukes. They had atomic facilities, Keith. That's not true. In fact, the Soviet Union, which once controlled the Ukraine during the Soviet era, placed that stuff there. They did have atomic facilities in the Ukraine. Where is Chernobyl? Remember Chernobyl? The back in the 80s, the place had a nuclear meltdown, whatever it's called, when nuclear material overheats in thermal runaway. I believe that's in the Ukraine, isn't it? Chernobyl. So yeah, there were certainly atomic facilities in the nation of the Ukraine. Anyway, looking in the comments, they had nuclear power plants, not nuclear weapons. Fair enough. Russia had control of them. Yeah, and once Russia left and there was no more Soviet Union, the goal was that the Ukraine would get rid of that Soviet era stuff, and America would look out. America, Great Britain, and Russia would look out for them if they had any issues with any other nation. Turns out one of those three decided to attack them. The Constitution allows non-citizens to own guns. What the fuck are you talking about, anarchy? You guys have a comment already? Tap the screen, get the likes on up. By the way, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, you are in the right place. Feel free to follow the program if you're watching on Clapper, TikTok, Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, get your boy a sub. This is uncensored programming. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Tim, are you going to Donald Trump's birthday party? He might point at you again. You know, that's comedy being made in regards to the fact that I have been to a couple Trump rallies and I sat in like the fourth or fifth row from the front, and Trump said something. This is about a year or so ago. You know, Trump's been holding rallies since 2015, but he pointed at me and winked when I stood up and applauded something he said. It was something about imposing tariffs on John Deere tractors. Something he said that resonated with me. So the viewer is asking, am I going to go to Donald Trump's birthday party? He may point at me again. I'll just say this. You're obviously referring to the parade. Tap the screen, get the likes up to 20,000. I'll take the next caller. You're referring to the parade, obviously. Fact that I'm just going to be honest with you. I respect the office of president. I might not be favorable to a lot of Trump's agenda, but if he personally invited me, yeah, I'd show up. I mean, any president, if they personally invited me to an event like that, just for the memory and things like that of it, I mean, I may have to explain to my damn kids and grandkids why the fuck was I there, but I would come, I would show up nevertheless. I highly doubt any of my descendants, child, grandchild, I highly doubt any of them are going to look back one day and say, I'm glad granddad was a Trump gathering. So I would have to do some explaining, as they say on Lucy. You got some explaining to do. Ace Ventura, thank you for the support, says, any comment on the senators being arrested? He didn't get arrested. I've been watching the video, trying to get a question from Christy Nome. They took him out of the room forcibly, put him on the ground and handcuffed him, but he was not arrested, and that's his own word. It looks bad. It's starting to look like if you speak out of turn, you protest, you challenge the Trump administration, which is why you see what's on the monitor behind me. It looks like that is becoming increasingly less. You're not going to be allowed to do that very long, if you ask me, my humble opinion. Let me go straight to the box. I don't believe over the course of the Trump administration, you will continue to be able to challenge him the way you have challenged politicians in the past. Remember, the guy stands up and told Obama on the House floor, you lied. I don't think that's going to work during the Trump administration. I'm just giving you my humble opinion. I think as time goes on, he's only been in office 5 months. Give him a year and a half, that may actually be criminal. We'll see what happens. Denkel, good evening. Welcome to the program. I wouldn't go if, hang on a second, Denkel. Povio said, I wouldn't go if he paid me, okay, if you pay me the right amount. So you wouldn't go to a Trump birthday party if he paid you. Denkel, what about you? Would you go to a Trump party if he invited you? Personally?
No.
Even if he actually invited you to come, you would turn it down?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go.
Wow.
I have nothing to gain for them. I don't. It's respecting the office, like that's a cop out. What he's doing to people is like saying, yeah, well, if if Schmittler invited me, he's the head of state, so I might as well go and because I respect it. No, it's certain things you got to have a certain cutoff somewhere to say this shit right here is wrong. And there would be no benefit to me or you to go there. Just like you say, if you got to explain to your grandkids and your kids why you made, that's a bridge too far for me. I mean,
I'm going to concede most of that. Certainly, the last point you made hit home hard. If you got to tell your damn kids about it, obviously, was something wrong with it. I mean, but I'm not quite in the camp yet where I'm putting Trump in the same category with Adolf. He is doing things that are parallel to him, but we're not there yet. We're not there
not
yet.
Quite. Yeah, Jack. I mean, when his administration is jacking up senators and when they didn't lock him up, the mayor, where was that, New Jersey or whatever?
Wait, say that again.
That mayor that was at the detention center, and they put him in handcuffs too.
Yeah. I mean, I just, that's what I said before.
This is all designed. This is all designed as a domination. Like they doing this shit on purpose. This ain't no regular, like, this is just what he said he was going to do this shit. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't
But
say
but
that.
how let me give you something my beloved MAGA says quite often. If everybody is allowed to have Second Amendment rights, we could never have tyranny. You can't have tyranny. We're protected against tyranny because we have Second Amendment rights. What say you?
Well, I don't know about that statement in this particular situation, because it's the people that really champion that cause that are the ones who claim that they're going to use, they're going to use their Second Amendment rights to protect the country. So they're winning right now. So of course they're not going to do it, and they want to see us do it so they can clamp down harder on society. They want escalation to the point where there's weapons being used. That would validate sending Marines into all blue states around the country. That is exactly what they want.
What happens? Okay, because he is talking about now with this No Kings protest supposed to happen simultaneously with the military parade. What is the country like if he does start deploying U.S. Marines to various populated areas all over the country?
One part of the country, the people that voted for him, that just their ego and pride would not let them turn away from him, will say it was warranted because everything was getting out of hand, when they're not acknowledging that he is himself escalating this shit on purpose. We already know the plan. The playbook has already been said out loud from Stephen Miller to the Heritage Foundation. They want to militarize the fucking country. They want to declare martial law, and the Insurrection Act is the first part. They're walking around talking about using the Insurrection Act on a situation which you have already acknowledged on your show is a minuscule damn protest.
Yeah.
The only thing they burnt down was some Waymo automatic vehicles. No people or nothing involved.
Yeah, I don't.
Right now, they'll say, "Oh my goodness, LA's burning down."
Yeah, I've had people tell me that these Mexicans and these immigrants are burning that city to the ground, and I'm thinking, like, I haven't seen a house, I haven't even seen a shed on fire. It's been a few vehicles, and that's it. And they're making it sound like the whole city of Los Angeles is on fire, as if when you land in LAX, you can see ruins smolder, like it's Gaza. They're making it sound like it's Gaza.
Yeah, and look, Cedric is on here right now. They're literally looting up stores and stealing.
It's just, I mean, listen, if you're watching right-wing media, they would show you clips if that was happening. The fact is, you can turn on Fox or Newsmax and you don't see any store being looted in Los Angeles. That should tell you everything you need to know, because they would absolutely show that.
And if you tell him that, he'll say, it's a conspiracy. They're hiding what's going on. I know, because I got friends in LA who telling me what's going on.
Well, I've had viewers call in from that area, and they've said that, like, literally, you got to find that protest. You can live your life as normal in LA. You have to actually know where that's at to go find it to even realize it's going on there. It's on TV. It's all over cable news. But if you're actually on the ground, if you're hanging out in Venice Beach, just riding your skates or your bike, it's as if this ain't taking place. Like, you got to go find this shit.
Exactly. Did you see your boy Taco today?
No, what am I missing?
Yeah, he got some calls from his rich friends.
Explain.
They told him to lay off the farms and the damn hotels. Now he's scaling back the ice raids on farm. Look, they seen them folks running through the field yesterday. They said, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
Taco got up there on the bully pulpit today and said, "Look, we got to be smart about this." Now Stephen Miller just said the other day, we don't give a damn about the farms or the meat packing places. We getting them all. And Trump is up there today after having a phone call from his rich friend saying, hey, you about to fuck up the damn economy.
You know, you raise an interesting point, and that's why I suggested on the show a few days ago that the tariffs that Trump imposed will not bring manufacturing jobs back to America like he suggested, is because he's too wishy-washy. Like, okay, if you're going to deport all these damn people, then damn it, deport them. You can't be picking and choosing based on which one of your friends said, well, my business has a problem with this part of your agenda, and you're just changing it because that person like, you can't move billions of dollars of manufacturing plants back to the U.S. when he is as wishy-washy as, a lake during an earthquake. Like, there's no way you're going to do that.
Right, but it's easy. It's easy for those people, those rich people, to say, "Yes, sir. We're gonna invest $20 billion in the American economy with no paperwork, no nothing, just so he can add that to his total, because he's up to 14 trillion now in proposed investments."
Yeah. And it's going to turn out with us doing a show in the future asking whatever happened to that 14 trillion. I mean, we know that. Just like when Elon Musk was finding all the waste, fraud, and abuse, and we were being told during the campaign that we need to stop sending money to the Ukraine and stop sending money overseas so that we can take care of homeless and take care of vets in this country. And now that all the money has stopped being sent overseas, you don't hear one damn vet bragging about how much money they suddenly seeing. You don't hear any claims that the homeless are suddenly being housed. The money ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, matter of fact, you can look at articles and stuff being written by military people. They are not fucking happy. The vets, like I told you, that article yesterday was in military.com that was talking about how he made those, he basically interviewed those soldiers that were behind him, saying it, and they literally was saying, no fat people.
What was he looking for? A bunch of Pete Hegseth clones?
Exactly. The warrior ethos that he said is going on right now.
Do they make? I'm just asking this. I didn't serve. I know you did. I'm just going to ask this out of ignorance. Certainly after seeing what Trump is putting up there. Do they make black warriors? Do they exist?
Do they make what?
Black warriors.
No, they don't care what color you are when they're trying to train you how to.
Well, I mean, under his administration, were any of those people behind him?
You look. You had a general understanding in the military that a lot of people leaned right because they view the right as wanting to help fund the military more than the left, because the left wanted to try to, when they tried to get budgets done, they tried to chip some off the defense budget, which was a cardinal sin. But so every time a Republican was in office, they would accentuate, well, look what they're doing for the military, which they're not really doing it for us in the military. They always told us, your job is to defend democracy, don't expect to be a part of it.
Damn. Well, the thing about it is the Democrats were known as the anti-war party, and the Republicans, at least under Bush, was known as pushing war. So obviously, if there's more wars, there's going to be money going to developing weapons and things like that, and keeping the soldiers happy. Now, Trump ran a campaign on ending wars, but now that he's gotten in office, everything he's talking about is starting wars. He's threatening to bomb Iran. He's already bombed the Houthis. He's helping the Israelis. I mean, so he's campaigned on ending wars, which would sound like something that Democrats would be a fan of. But now that he's in there, he's talking about building iron domes and shields. He created the Space Force. He sounds like somebody who wants more war.
And the people who supported him when he was saying, I'm just against death, I just don't want death, are now saying, yeah, get Greenland. Yeah, we need the Panama Canal.
I forgot about all those places. Yeah, I forgot about all those scripts.
Screw those Ukrainians. Let them all die. Gaza, nobody cares right now that they really, literally are starving to death. And when the people try to get aid in there, they are literally shooting people who are starving.
Why are we? Aid. Listen, I understand October, and that's a good point you bring, but I understand October 7th was horrific in regards to what Hamas did to the Israelis. But why are we okay with starving the population? I mean, at this point, we are literally preventing them, or we're literally okay with Netanyahu preventing food. I mean, this is not weapons, this is not unknown armies or anything. They're trying to bring food in there, and we are letting that happen without a word to the wise. In fact, we're continuing to arm the Israelis. Why are we okay as a nation with that?
Hey, you got to ask the other side. We've been asking that question from the very beginning. Why is it okay to if your whole deal is we got to stop spending money in these foreign places? Why is it okay to stop the money in Ukraine, but not stop the money in Israel?
Well, I don't think Israel, I don't think we're giving. Say? We're not giving Israel. I mean, Israel has their own money. I think they're paying for that shit.
No. We have an agreement with Israel where I know it was a while ago. The numbers might have changed, but we used to give them grants, $3 billion per year, and then we had other stipulations that said if they needed more, they could get forgivable loans. They are not paying us shit for those weapons. Those weapons were supposed to be part of our strategic advantage as our only ally in the Middle East. So it was like we was giving it to them so they could be like our eyes and ears over there. Yeah. They not paying for shit.
Broke Jews. I didn't think they made those since 1940s Germany. Broke Jews. So we're giving them money.
They're not broke, but they're great negotiators, obviously.
Yeah, no shit. Wow. So before I'm moving on from you, I had to ask a secondary question, and that is, in terms of law enforcement in this country, I think I know where you might go, and I think even MAGA might be on the same side with you on this, but I'll ask anyway. Do you support any branch of law enforcement, whether it's, the IRS police, the railroad police, your local police, state police, you name it? Do you support any form of law enforcement being allowed to wear masks and conceal their identity during an encounter with you and not have so much as even a nameplate? So that if you had to file a complaint, you couldn't even list who you were encountering. Do you support that?
No, and obviously nobody else should, since we've already got laws in place that say that law enforcement has to identify themselves. There's a law. I don't know if you remember, but remember Tupac shot 2 cops because they were plain clothes and they didn't reveal themselves, and he shot their ass because they didn't identify themselves, and he walked away from it. They are supposed to. That's why every police car that stops you, it's got to identify itself on the side. If it's a speed, they have to identify themselves. That's why they even tell, pharmaceutical dealers, if you know what I mean. Yeah. They say you can ask somebody, are you a law enforcement officer? And they have to acknowledge it. So we already got laws.
Wait, is that true? So wait. If I'm a drug dealer and a undercover is trying to buy product from me to catch me up, if I ask that undercover, "Are you a cop?" You're telling me by law they have to tell me that?
No.
Okay.
See,
all right.
It's a technique. No. It's true, but I'm gonna give you some context to it. I gave you a different word than what you said. You said, "Am I a cop?" If they are a DEA agent, they are technically not cops. They go by a different nomenclature.
Ain't that a bitch?
That's why I said you have to say, are you a law enforcement officer, which spans the spectrum.
Are you serious? I mean, they play the word game just like that. I mean, that could mean the difference between freedom and life of incarceration. Just because I said cop versus law enforcement.
If you said a cop, they'd be like, man, no, I ain't no damn cop. Man, what you talking about? But if you say they got to come up with something that's like legally, like it's been a long time since I've had to actually utilize that. But I'm just saying, like,
go ahead.
There may be new word. They may have recategorized police and different things, so maybe they don't fall for that, but I'm just saying, I'm using it as context to say that law enforcement officers have to identify themselves. That was the difference between us and Russia or any other country where we see them just disappearing people like we're starting to do right now. So I don't believe that MAGA in their true self would disagree and say that it's cool for for people to just go around and jump out of unmarked vehicles and snatch people in the cars and send them away to El Salvador. Or now we got a new agreement now with Kosovo.
Kosovo. Jesus. In Eastern Europe?
Yeah, we could look. They couldn't do Congo. They couldn't. The court stopped them from doing, El Salvador and all of that stuff until it works its way through court. Now we got an agreement with Kosovo.
Hispanics. There is nobody in the region that speaks Spanish. Kosovo. Real quick, one of the viewers wanted me to ask you any comment on the senator that was. Well, he's saying arrested, but he got detained. Did you see the senator trying to get up to Kristi Noem to ask a question?
Yeah, they playing it on the loop, and it's a part of this campaign. They've already said it. They asked the president on the White House lawn, do you agree that Tom Homan should arrest the governor? And he said, I would do it.
Yeah.
So, what happened? They're using technical language. You got to listen to them.
Yeah,
they came out in the beginning and they said he lunged at her, which we know fucking well he didn't lunge at her.
Yeah.
Then so when later on they use different language. So it's going to be difficult for him to win anything in court because they're going to get caught up on technical language and stuff. But all of this is meant to say anybody can get it.
Not to mention if they did do anything with Trump at the helm, he's going to pardon them anyway. So that's not going to go anywhere. I got to move it on, Dencal, but I do agree with you on that. It just looks bad. It's starting to look like even at the senatorial level, you can't challenge the administration without some bad shit happening to you. But this is where we are.
Sad state of affairs. And I guarantee you, this is not what fucking MAGA voted for. It's motherfucking apprehending our fucking senators because remember when the pendulum swings back.
Yeah.
And it always
they're okay with it being done to a liberal senator though. Really, if you do it to a perceived enemy of MAGA, they wouldn't give a damn if they threw him in a pit of fire. He's a liberal. But no, they don't want to see it happening to, Ted Cruz. They're okay with it happening to any liberal, though.
Right. Hey, before I go, last thing is, did you see the Air India plane?
Yes. Oh my God.
The one guy walked away from it.
The British tourist.
They didn't even bring the ambulance to him. They had this dude walking down the damn street after coming from a flaming containment. He walking down the street just to get in the ambulance. They like, that's over there.
Well, from what I've heard, sitting in the rear of an aircraft is the safest place to sit. So he must have been in the bathroom or some shit. So I did see that he's a British tourist and he got some scratches. But yeah, that's 230 deaths and you the only dude that survived. Talk about why me syndrome. Wow.
Talk about survivor's guilt is about to eat that man up.
Hey, but he here. Didn't count. Appreciate it.
All right, take it easy.
All right. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy on up to 30,000. I guess I'm in my damn eye, but tap the screen. Get the likes on up. We just got 3.5 years left of King Trump. Is he a king? I don't know. There's still resistance. I don't think he's quite to the point of being a king. I do believe he might have some aspirations in that area. And I think that MAGA probably wouldn't push back, so to speak. I've had MAGA, I've been talking to MAGA 4 or 5 years on here, 10 years on in the Tea Party was pretty much MAGA before MAGA came along. So I've been talking to MAGA and Tea Party folks 20 plus years. Anyway, I've had MAGA tell me, more than one person tell me, it wouldn't be that bad if Trump was able to be a dictator or serve an extended term. At the end of the day, he is better than any president we've ever had, including Ronald Reagan. The economy, they respect us worldwide. You can afford groceries and shit again, and we're not the laughing stock. I've had several folks that are Trump supporters, or I would refer to him as, endearing MAGA, that would be okay with him being a king. Did you not see all of the memes and things floating around in MAGA circles with Trump with a crown on his head? They're okay with that. I'm going to tell you, they're okay with that. Not that Trump's going to become a king or whatever the case may be, but I don't believe he would face a whole lot of resistance from MAGA if the option was Kamala Harris or Biden. Then give him a third, fourth, and fifth term, as opposed to Kamala Harris or Biden. Looking in the comments, did he get out the plane and hold up? What did you say? What did he hold up? Did he hold up a fist? Did he get? I don't know, but I know he survived the crash there. Real quick in the comments before we move it on, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything there. Tap the screen, like I said, get us on up to 30,000 and agree, Drippy. Those practicing peaceful dissent are exercising their rights. I don't, before I go to the next call, I'll say what I say all the time. Peaceful dissent, protest in the right way. And we all want that to be the way people protest. It's ineffective. Whether we're talking January 6th, whether we're talking Black Lives Matter, whether we're talking what's going on in Southern California, whether we're talking Colin Kaepernick, et cetera, et cetera. Protesting the right way is about the most inefficient way of getting your cause addressed. And I always use the example of the abortion protesters as a perfect example of somebody who used to protest the right way. During the time when they were fighting to have Roe v. Wade overturned and women have to carry their babies to term, they'd stand on the sidewalk, they'd read the Bible, they'd hold up pictures of a terminated fetus or whatever, but they wouldn't block traffic, they wouldn't block the sidewalks, they wouldn't block the entrance to and from the clinics, and people just went about their daily lives and ignored them. It was as simple as that. And they could stand there for eternity, and people would just pass them by. If you're going to protest successfully, the only way you're going to be able to do that is to force people to pay attention to what you're doing and address your cause. Block their path. Even Martin Luther King, who was known as somebody who protested peacefully, he would do sit-ins. So that now you're in a restaurant and you got to sit next to a damn Negro that you think is diseased while you're eating your food. You were fine sitting in a whites only restaurant. Now all of a sudden all these Negroes are coming in here. I mean, he wasn't just protesting, as they say, the right way. During his era, he was protesting the wrong way too. You're not going to get anything by protesting the right way because the people who don't give a damn about your cause are just going to ignore you. Looking in the comments though, woke, broke, joke, says Paul. We will do more than survive. We will thrive and prosper. That's the question. Will we survive the Trump years? Going back to the box. And if we do, what will America be like after that endeavor? Going back to the box, Viking Pug. It's a hell of a name. Good evening, Viking. Welcome to the program. If it brings them a Viking Pug. Good evening.
Hey, I'm sorry. Give me a minute.
Okay, I'll give you a few seconds, otherwise I have to move it on. In the comment section, real quick, civil rights would not have gotten as far, asking nicely. No, it wouldn't have got anywhere at all. If Martin Luther King had stood up like the abortion protesters and protested that way, we'd still be dealing with Jim Crow era and everything. I mean, it would not have had any gains at all. It was forcing people to acknowledge what was going on. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get in. Okay, Viking, good evening.
Sorry, my apologies about that. I had to have my something. How are you doing today, handsome nibble?
Doing good. Good to have you on. First time caller?
Yeah, I watch your videos a bit here and there and such, and I kind of like what you do.
Thank you. What am I getting wrong? Will we survive? You think we'll survive the Trump years intact?
You want me to be perfectly honest?
Sure.
As a historian?
Honest as a historian. Give it to me.
We are most likely heading to civil war.
What will spark? What makes you say that?
Well, for instance, there's now talk about him actually putting red troops in blue states, so that's one.
So,
secondly,
go ahead.
Secondly, what he's doing with these protests makes it seem like he wants there to be some sort of violence so he can enact the Martial Law Act.
Wait. You said what he's doing with what?
With the protests. As if you look closer, you can see there's a little bit of protagonizing that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Trump thrives off of trolling and antagonizing. That's kind of his claim to fame. That ain't something new.
Yeah, but it seems like he's going very hard in it now for some reason. And from what I managed to get offline, it's that he wants to declare martial law, Which, and honestly, I'm going to be perfectly 100% honest with you, it's not going to help him at all within this country.
Okay, if he declares martial law, what are you expecting as a result?
You want me to put mathematics in it?
Everything I ask you, I want you to be as open as possible.
All right, think of it like this. The United States of America is one of the largest countries in the world. Okay. We have almost 400 million square miles of land, open borders with open seas, with a population of nearly almost 340 or 370 million Americans, somewhere near that time frame, along with 2 million personnel in the military or defense force, whatever, along with an extra 8,000 in it, 800,000 in the reserves. If you add up the numbers and shit, it's a, you know what I'm saying?
I don't quite get what are you saying? It's too many citizens or something like that?
There are too many of us more than them, yes.
Well, listen, I mean, obviously there's significantly more citizens there than there are military personnel, but you got to take into account the technology. I mean, the military has technology that can easily, increase their numbers to infinity. I mean, 8,000 well-trained military personnel with the proper equipment could easily take out 1 million Americans. So you can't count it number for number because of the equipment they have and training.
But true, that's the problem. They're expecting you to fight on their terms. You can't fight on their terms. See, the one thing that most people do not understand is these days, the one thing that a major modern military cannot really win is a full-on insurgency. So they would not have to fight them with the terms of the United States government wants to fight. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to resort to like stuff like the Vietnam guerrilla warfare and insurgent tactics. I mean, hell, like what you said, we are the most advanced military in the world, correct?
Yeah.
20 years in Afghanistan, what do we have to show for it?
Well, but Afghanistan, we were headed by the likes of Barack Obama and George Bush, whereas we showed some forms of restraint in Afghanistan. Trump, if you're opposing Trump, can you count on Trump? Because even in Iraq, we were trying to avoid mosques and avoid, civilian targets. Can you depend on Trump to show that kind of restraint? Such as, there's a big difference in how the U.S. dealt with Iraq and Afghanistan versus how Netanyahu was dealing with Gaza. Netanyahu is not showing restraint on civilian populations. If you're opposing Trump, do you believe you can depend on him to show restraint to unarmed citizens?
Well, to put it like that way, no, but the thing is, the thing that no one really expected, yeah.
Wait,
the military is big and all with the advanced technology, like you said. I'm not denying you there. But with tactics and such, you can easily defeat the most modern army, even if they do not try to hold back. I mean, if you look at it, there are 15 million veterans within the United States in the civilian civilian terms right now. That is more military trained within the civilian area than in the military area, because these people actually fought the insurgencies we talked about and learned from them, because they were the ones that survived an ATV. You know what? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But here's the, let me plug I got to plug my charger in the bottom of the device. But here's the point I'm making, though. When I say not showing restraint, when we went back to Iraq for the second go round after George H.W. Bush told them to rise up against Saddam and we would help him, and then we abandoned them. We went back under the guise that Saddam was killing his own people, and it was mainly because we told him to rise up. The point I'm making is, when Saddam started taking out his own people, you got to assume some of them folks were former vets of the Iraqi army. And the point I'm making is this: when I asked you, could you depend on Trump showing restraint for a reason? Saddam was willing to gas his own people. Could you depend? Let's say, for instance, you do have a significant amount of veterans in some suburb. You know, this is a town we know it's a former military based town. A lot of the people in this town, even though they don't like us, a lot of them are veterans. They have a lot of weapons. Could you depend on someone like Trump to not say fuck it, then just gas that zip code? Do you believe Trump could be depended on not to go to that extreme like Saddam Hussein?
And I'm gonna be honest, yeah, a little bit actually, because with the whole taco scene, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not even a liberal. I'm an independent, but like, yeah, I honestly agree. He does chicken out on a lot of shit, which is another scene that does not work in his favor. Because like, let's just say if he does cross the pass, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If he does cross the pass and something big happens that he tries to back out of, he's not gonna be able to back out this time because like he crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, but keep in mind, if we have civil unrest, like you're saying, and I see in the comments, one of my viewers said all the Democrats need to know is don't start nothing, won't be none. But the point I'm making is this: if we do have civil unrest, President Trump knows either win this or you're going to find yourself either incarcerated or Gaddafi style. So, I mean, that's what I'm asking you. Would he show restraint? Because if he doesn't win, he's going to lose big time. So I think you should consider that. I mean, we're not going. His side would not lose, and then the winning side would just say, "All right, let the guy live out the rest of his life." They're going to try to incarcerate him.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Which is also the reason why it's going to work for the exact same thing for us. Because, like you say he has some aspects of becoming a king or a dictator, correct?
Yeah. I think all commander in chiefs to some degree inspire to have a hell of a lot of power. I just think in Trump's case is a bit stronger. Certainly when the members of his administration and his party seem to be lined up under the notion of if you want it, it's yours for the taking. We got your back. That don't normally happen under other leaders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to us, we also do not have a choice. It's either we do this or we're living under a dictatorship. I don't care what MAGA says. This is America. We were bred to fight against that shit for as long as I can remember. And I have been alive in this country for almost 25 years. We were bred to fight that. And I'm going to be honest with you, Americans, we are violent, hateful, you know what. All right?
But even what you said, we were bred to fight against it. What about the folks who believe that what Trump is doing is the perfect vision for America? You got to understand, you're not just fighting Trump. You're not just dealing with the military. You're not just dealing with his administration. You're dealing with MAGA. Millions of MAGA would be on that side, and they have a hell of an arsenal. Do you really think there's a chance of victory here?
What Sun Tzu once said, underestimating your enemy is the best way to lose.
All right. And I'm looking in the comments as we're speaking. Midnight Madness says, I am not MAGA, but I side with Trump. So I'm just letting you know, a lot of fellow Americans are not going to be on your side in regards to this. There's going to be a lot of folks wearing red hats carrying rifles.
Again, yeah, so will we. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that people mistake. They always mistake that the other side is not going to be armed. No. I mean, between you and me, I met a freaking full-on liberal. Where say, I'm not sure if I can say the word on here. I'm just going to use the name of the vehicle. A chef. The American tank from World War II.
You're saying you met an American that owns one of those?
Yeah, liberal.
Yeah. Well, the problem is in the era we're in now. In the era we're in now, you see what's happening in the Ukraine, for instance. A regular civilian can get access, if I'm saying this right, can get access to a hell of a lot of damaging equipment. Just a drone, like what I often hold up on my show, something like this, which will haul about 5 pounds of explosives, really. This will haul about 5 pounds of shit in the air. I mean, if you got hundreds of those, you can do a lot of damage.
Exactly. Like, this is a man, the one who, basically what I'm saying is, there is a good chance we're going to end up there. And honestly, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But like, I hope I'm wrong. But like, if he goes that far, a lot of Americans are not going to accept that.
Is it avoidable? Is there a chance that we get a good economy and just a very efficiently run country under Trump for the next 3.5 years? I mean, we don't have to have civil unrest, do we? What are the chances that Trump just does a good job as commander in chief?
Only one way that can happen.
Well, only one way. Explain.
If he drops this bullshit and the red states and blue states just stick to their land and we stick to our land. Nothing more, nothing less.
Good luck with that. Good luck. I got to move it on, Viking, but the chances of that happening are virtually no. Trump is winning and it's snowballing and he realizes it. So the guy is going to continue on his reign. He's enjoying himself. I got to move it on, though, Viking. Appreciate it.
Again, I'm not liberal, but all right.
All right. You're not a liberal. We'll go ahead and note that. Thanks for coming through. All right. Moving on to the program. Civil unrest. Civil unrest. Civil war is my last caller said. What say you? You think there's a real chance, a real likelihood that we could actually be headed down that path? What happened to make America great? I'm going to assume there's no one in the audience. Several hundred of you folks watching across all of the platforms here. I'm going to assume none of you folks feel as though a civil war in this country would be a version of great. We were supposed to make America great again. I don't see that as the outcome that anybody voted for. So what do you think? By way of yes or no comments, how many of you folks agree with my last caller that could be or is likely to be what's on the menu for the next 3.5 years, that we're heading in that direction? Or do you think my caller was just going way overboard? By way of yes or no, how many of you folks think we're likely headed in that direction? Wow. I see a lot of hell no's. Some folks are saying likely. No chance, says Meech. No chance at all? I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's always a chance under any commander-in-chief. No chance. All right, anyway, continuing on with the program. By the way, tap the screen. Get us up to 35,000. We'll take the next caller. A lot of no's. No, and I see MAGA reacts. Really? No chance. Doesn't surprise me, MAGA reacts, that you would say that. Look, at the end of the day, like I said, there's always a chance. You got a country of 350, 360 million people or more from all different backgrounds. People got all kinds of shit to have a gripe with each other over. There's always a chance. It does make a big difference when there is anguish in the country, how the leadership addresses the people. That's where Trump is a little different from the likes of Bush or Obama or some of them other folks. You see Bush standing on the rubble of the World Trade Center and he tells the firefighters, I hear you, we all hear you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon. That unified message that made everybody want to join the military. Trump is not going to do that. This is why we need to have a Muslim ban. These towers would not be down if we weren't letting people in from the Middle East. So all of the Middle Eastern people that are serving in the military is like, damn, really? So understand you're going to get a different level of conversation from President Trump. It's just the unifying portion is just not there. He's going to speak on behalf of his own agenda, and if you don't agree with his agenda, you can go to hell. Tap the screen, get us on up to 35,000. We'll take the next caller. Already have it, dude. Look around. You think we're already at a civil unrest there, Fungi? Nah, not yet. Pigs are wiser than dogs. Why not eat a dog for dinner? I don't know what that means. Like Handmaid's Tale, probably. You really think we're headed in that direction where women? I mean, I have seen some of that. I haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale, but it's come up so much in connection with the Trump administration that I have watched some of it on Netflix or whatever the hell it is. You really believe that the Trump administration wants to kind of take away most of the rights and equality for women, use them as incubators to propel the birth rate without giving them a choice or a say-so in the matter? Do you really believe they want to do that? Because that's kind of what's happening on the Handmaid's Tale. take away women's right to vote, because obviously being able to vote gives you some control over the direction of this country. I have had MAGA. One of my more frequent viewers that I enjoy talking to MAGA, friend of the program for certain. But I do have at least two members that refer to themselves as MAGA that do believe America would be a better country if women did not have the right to vote. They've discussed it on the show a few times already, that they believe that women vote based on emotion and things of that nature, and the country would be better off if women did not have the right to vote. So there are people that believe that. I just want to say that. Look, get the fuck out of here, says, was that unbothered? Well, I'm just letting you know. I ask people their opinion. I don't block, ban, or censor for your opinion. You can be critical of my opinion or how we run the show, and we'll still let you talk. It's all about free speech here, which is why I'm going to tell you right now, if you enjoy uncensored conversation from all sides of the aisle without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, I implore you to follow the program if you're currently watching on TikTok, Instagram, Clapper, or if you're watching on YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical. We're on all those platforms simultaneously. I have noticed that a lot of movies sometimes are played out in real life. That is true. That is absolutely true. A lot of movies do end up becoming real. I think you should just deport Trump to Germany. Well, was it his dad or his grandfather? I think his grandfather was a German native. And I mean, because didn't the chancellor of Germany just come here recently and gave President Trump a copy of his grandfather's birth certificate? So Trump, regardless of how you feel about Trump and let's say the Third Reich, if you're making connections or whatever the hell you want to suggest, his family, his grandfather was there in that era. And I mean, people say whatever they want about Trump owning copies of Mein Kampf or talking about vermin and poison in the blood. There's some parallels there, but hopefully he never takes us down that path. Go back to the box. Are we at 35,000? Tap the screen, get the likes on up. We can make it happen if you will. And we will continue on with the program. Anyone who doesn't vote should not have to pay taxes. That ain't how that works. You're going to tell me if you don't vote, you should still be able to drive your car down a nice smooth road that was covered by the taxpayers? No. You want to dial 911 and get free services and you ain't paying taxes? Where they do that at? No, you don't get to skip taxes for not voting. No, it don't work like that. Let me continue on. Twisted 77. Welcome to the program, Twisted. Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you back on. Surviving the Trump years. What are you, 3.5 years from now? Now I know you are MAGA. You voted for Trump, correct?
I voted for Trump, but I wouldn't call myself MAGA. Okay. I'm an independent.
Okay. How do you like what we're doing so far? You think we're going in the right direction?
I think so. I don't understand what the issue is. People came in illegally, they broke the law, and they're getting deported, and everyone's losing their minds. Well, not everyone. I mean, there's just certain people are losing their minds about it, and I don't understand why.
Well, let me start out by asking you, do you believe that everyone that is being deported is here illegally?
Do I believe in everybody that's being?
Well, yeah, you said people are here illegally.
I know some people. Well, hold on. I know some people got their visas canceled or whatnot. So, but they're not citizens.
Okay, but the question. Obviously, there's millions of people that are here that are not U.S. citizens and they are not here illegally. So we're talking about this middle group. I'm asking you, do you believe that everybody being deported is here undocumented or illegally?
No, because like I said, some people have had their visas canceled and have been deported.
Any idea why?
So they were here legally. They got their visas canceled and they were deported.
Okay, so when you
that's nothing new though. But that's nothing new.
It's the number is
you guys act like this.
Twisted.
Well,
the number of people
happening since.
Yeah, just because it's been happening don't mean people weren't complaining about it then. But the fact is, the number of people that are here legally getting deported is significant under Trump. That's what people are complaining about.
And are they citizens?
No, but he didn't say I'm going to deport every non-citizen. He said I'm going to deport criminals, rapists, and murderers, and folks who are here illegally. Now he's going for a bunch of people that you're admitting are here legally.
So the question they're not asking is, why are those people getting deported?
Well,
they're just saying they're getting deported. It's bad, but they're not asking the question why.
They didn't think they had to ask Twisty. Campaign on deporting legal migrants.
But this is my point, Tim. This stuff has been happening for decades. I'll give you a perfect example, right? Back in 1995, I was in Italy for a couple of months, okay? Mm-hmm. I flew back, and my friend's nephew was on the same flight as me. Now, he got off the plane, same as I did. INS did not like the answers he gave when he was trying to go through immigration. Mm-hmm. They took him, put him on a plane, and sent him right back. And there was no court case. There was no nothing. Get out of the plane, go back.
How did he feel about it? How did he feel about it?
He was pissed, obviously.
That's your answer. You just said, why are people saying? You just admitted somebody it happened to was pissed off. American people that is happening to are pissed off. That's your answer.
Whoa. He wasn't an American. He was an Italian. Okay?
Yeah, but the
point is...
I mean, you were okay with it?
Hold on, Tim. The point is, that's happened thousands upon thousands, if not millions of times, okay? Nobody cared.
No, they did care. You just said he was pissed off.
I said he was pissed off.
Right.
Were you pissed off?
I don't know who the guy is.
That's been happening?
Well, hold on.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
what are you saying?
Are you pissed off that that's been happening for decades upon decades?
Well,
no, because you didn't know about it, because you didn't care.
Well, I didn't have a leader. Wait, hold on, twist it. I didn't have a leader on TV taking gleeful shots and bragging that he was doing it. That has something to do with it. You're right, it's been happening for decades. But when you got a guy on TV that seems to be enjoying it, you're drawing attention to it. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I've thought about it, but again, nobody cared before.
They didn't know.
Why do they care now?
You just made it clear they didn't know.
They did. They didn't know because they didn't care, because it didn't affect them. These people that they're sending back now, it doesn't affect them. But suddenly they care. Suddenly it's the worst thing that's ever happened. They didn't give a shit when Obama was deporting people left and right. They didn't care then.
That's not true. That actually is not true. When Obama was, when Limbaugh calling him the deporter in chief, there were people, there were marches, there were people that were speaking out against Obama. And I'll tell you this, if he had a guy on television that was bragging about doing it, the outcry would have been greater.
What? Okay. You said they were mad about it when Obama did it.
Yeah.
Were they setting cop cars on fire? Were they attacking ICE agents? Were they doing any of that? No.
I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is this, Twisted. Hold on. What I'm telling you is this. Doing something that's happened all the time, that's one argument. But when you're on television bragging and taking pleasure in doing it, that's going to exaggerate the amount of complaints. The people you're talking about who's always been doing it, none of them were taking pleasure in doing it. That's why it's different.
Well, here's the difference. Yeah, you're right in that respect. But let's rewind that a little bit. How did we get to that point? Because they were coming in by the millions, and who was gleefully saying, "Yeah, let's let them in, let them all in. It's fine. It's not happening," or it just blatantly said that it wasn't happening at all. Don't believe your lying eyes. What are you talking about?
None of that gives Trump credibility. None of that gives Trump credibility for taking pleasure in it. If the previous administration is fucking up, then they fucking up. But get on TV and making it seem like you're taking pleasure in kicking people out, that doesn't excuse that.
Well, again, look at it from a different perspective. What was the number one issue during the election? Immigration. Yeah. Now he's on TV saying, "Look, I'm doing what you told me you wanted me to do."
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I'm keeping my promise. Why wouldn't he be happy about that?
Because that ain't true. First of all, people did not tell him to deport grandmas and end birthright citizenship. Most Americans were not okay with that. They wanted criminals, rapists, and murderers out of the country. That ain't what he's deporting.
No, they wanted illegals out of the country.
I don't think most Americans wanted ICE immigration officials to be running around with masks on, not identifying themselves, rounding people up. I don't think anybody was like, that's what we want. We want him to do that. He's doing things that he didn't campaign on, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, he did. What are you talking about?
He campaigned on ICE? He campaigned on ICE doing that?
He campaigned on mass deportations.
That ain't what I just said. That ain't what I just said to you.
That I did?
That ain't what I just said to you. I said ICE and immigration officials running around, not identifying themselves. By the way, they're grabbing Americans too. So when they come in your business and they're looking for illegal immigrants, they're holding you too until they figure it out. They're not identifying themselves or anything. You think that he campaigned on that?
And if they come into my business, okay, which I do own a business, for that reason, I will open the doors and welcome them in. I have no issue with that.
You have no issue sitting there in handcuffs or some kind of twist ties when you ain't did a damn thing wrong. You're okay with that?
Oh, they're just handcuffing everybody, right? Is that what you're saying?
And you're telling me that people should be okay with this stuff?
If you go to a place and they've been reported as having a lot of illegals, then you have to handcuff everybody because you don't know who's who, right?
And you should be okay with it.
No, wait, hold on a second. This is just the same as any traffic stop. You see where they've handcuffed people that didn't do anything and then they let them go?
And they ain't happy with it either, Twister. They're not happy either.
Hold on. I know you're gonna crash out here, but you need to calm down. Let me finish, okay? They handcuff people and say, we're just detaining you for a moment until we sort this out, and then they let them go. Does that happen all the time?
And the people are happy when they do that?
Most people know because they're just pissed off because everybody gets pissed off about everything everywhere. Any little minor infraction.
Look your question.
Look what they did in LA. Hold on. Look what they did in LA. He sent in the National Guard to protect federal buildings because we know from prior protests and riots that they have attacked federal buildings. Okay, those guys didn't do anything to anybody, but then he said, "Oh, he's inciting." They got upset. They have to riot more simply because those guys exist.
You don't think? Wait. You don't think you said they said he's inciting? Let me ask you: do you think Trump was inciting at all?
No.
Okay. So when he's talking about we hit hard when they spit and all that, that's not inciting to you at all.
No. How many times?
What is inciting?
How many times? Wait. Hold on, Tim. How many times in your life? Okay, because we're about the same age. How many times in your life have they rioted in LA or California in general?
The first time I remember is mainly doing the Rodney King stuff. So it's probably been a few times.
So Rodney King, then we had OJ. Remember that?
Did they riot after OJ?
Oh yeah, they did. Remember?
Okay, I believe you. I just don't remember. Go ahead, keep going.
Then BLM.
Okay.
And, so this is like the fifth time in the last 40 years?
That don't sound like much, but keep going.
That don't sound like much?
5 times in 40 years? No, it doesn't.
Mass riots?
This ain't a mass riot what's happening in LA right now. That's not a mass riot. Not one building has been set on fire and you call it a mass riot?
Did you watch the video, man?
You telling me you've seen buildings on fire in LA?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, did you
watch
the video?
You. Yeah, I've seen the videos. I haven't seen any mass rioting.
How much rioting do you need?
I think...
How much do you need?
I need some looting, throw in a side order of a few buildings on fire. Maybe I like a few windows broken. I mean, can you give me... I don't see mass rioting.
Windows... The windows broken, stores looted.
I haven't heard
set on fire. I mean, what did that one reporter say? Of course, I know you haven't heard of any of it. I don't know how you watch videos.
What stores were looted? Maybe you can give me that.
I don't know what stores exactly. You can look that up for yourself. But the fact that you don't know it means that either you're being ignorant, willfully ignorant, or B, you just don't want to admit it.
So you believe what's going on in LA right now constitutes as mass rioting?
Oh no! What's going to happen this weekend is going to be mass rioting, and then what?
Well, then let's get to. Are
you going to say it then?
If it looked like mass rioting, then I'll call it mass rioting.
And what's it going to take? It's not Republicans out there doing it.
You said, wait. You sent in, hold on. So in other words, you sent in the Marines proactively?
Have they done anything?
Why are they there?
Have those Marines?
Why are they there?
No, visual deterrent.
So proactively, the Marines were sent in proactively, trained killers, proactively.
Okay, have they touched a single American?
Why are they there, Twisted? There's no mass. You just said it's not mass rioting. Why are they there?
To prevent it.
Proactively. You can say the word.
Why not?
You can say the word. You're trying to dodge it, but it's proactive.
Okay, I'll say it. Proactively. It's like you buy insurance proactively in case an accident happens, right? You do a lot of things proactively. You have a savings account proactively in case something happens. You got money, right? You do a lot of things proactively, don't you?
And you didn't have to get permission from Nancy Pelosi. Ain't that a miracle?
Oh, well, you've seen her lately. She's taking the Biden route lately. I don't know if you've seen her speak.
You didn't have to get permission from Tim Johnson or anybody. All of a sudden, when you see something you don't like, you suddenly had the power to actually do it. Oh, ain't that a bitch?
And when he didn't do it last time,
he said he couldn't.
Everyone said, "Well, he should have done this. He should have done this." Now he did it.
He said he couldn't do it last time. He said he could not. He said he couldn't do it.
Tim, it wouldn't matter if he did it or if he didn't do it. You'd still blame him.
Okay, fair enough. So let me ask you this question.
I can guarantee you, if not one National Guardsman, not one Marine were there, they'd still say it was his fault.
Fair enough. So let me ask you this question. Hold on. Let me ask you this question. On January 6th, did he have the power to send in the military?
He offered them. They did.
That ain't what I asked you.
Apparently not.
But he has it now. So is there legislation that's been passed that gave him power now that he didn't have?
Well, there's a little difference there, though.
What is the difference?
Because January 6th all happened in one day, right? Wait. I know you're gonna laugh and you're gonna think it's funny, but I'm asking you a serious question.
Okay, what you got? What you got?
But how many days was LA happening before he sent in the National Guard? Was it 1 day? Was it 2 days? There's a difference. See, it's happening consecutive days. It ain't 1 day. It's been 6 days now?
Okay,
Gavin Newsom says, we got it under control. It's cool. You know who's fighting those protesters? It ain't the National Guard, not the Marines. It's the LA cops.
You're correct on the notion that the riots in LA are a lot longer than January 6th. But you said on January 6th, he didn't have the power to send in any military at all. What are you basing that on?
Preemptively? No, he couldn't.
What? Who would have stopped him? That's not stopping him now.
But this is a completely different situation, and that's what you're not acknowledging.
That ain't got, I'm asking you, the question is the same. Could he have done?
I told you what the difference was.
The question is simple. Twisted. The question is simple. Could he have sent in the Marines on January 6th?
No, because nothing was happening. There was no reason to.
I didn't ask you if it was a reason. I'm simply saying, could he have done it?
I gave you a clear and concise answer. What more do you need? Nothing was happening. Okay, wait, hold on. Nothing was happening. Something happened for a couple of hours, and then it ended, right?
Right.
Was it going on for several days? Was it a week long? No, 1 day. Okay. To even mobilize those people would have taken more time than it took for the thing to end. Okay. Now we're talking about something completely different, where we're talking about multiple days.
Multiple days of what? You just admitted. Wait. You just admitted. Hold on. You just admitted there is no mass rioting going on. You said that it might happen. You admitted it's proactive. So there's nothing going on for multiple days. You just said it.
Wait. So are you telling me that he sent in the National Guard before anything happened?
I'm telling you there's no reason for the Marines to be there.
No. Answer that question. Did he send in the National Guard before anything happened?
He sent in the National Guard before any mass rioting happened, yes.
Now you're adding that context in there. That's not what I said. Was there riots happening?
There was rioting happening. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the difference. Did he send him in before rioting happened? No. See, there's a big difference there. You don't want to admit it. I get it. You have your narrative. You want to push that. I understand that.
You admitted to me when I asked you, is there mass rioting going on? You said
because
no.
They were escalating.
Right.
Things were escalating.
Right. So they sent in the military.
So he sent in more troops.
Right. They sent it proactively. Why didn't he send proactive folks to the White House or to the Capitol building? Because they were escalating, as you're talking about killing the vice president.
How many times
Why didn't he do it?
Answer the same question. You keep asking the same question. I already gave you an answer. I'm telling you, riots were happening. Okay, Newsom wasn't doing anything, so he sent in the National Guard. They escalated. He sent in Marines to back them up. Okay,
escalated how?
Even though they're not actually even though they're not actually enforcing any laws, they're not arresting anybody. They're just guarding buildings. Okay, you're pissed off about it, but it's the LA cops that are arresting people that are fighting with protesters. And who controls those LA cops? They sure as hell ain't the Republicans.
You said he sent in the National Guard and then they escalated how? What? The National Guard was not overwhelmed when he stepped up to the Marines? Escalated how?
The riots got bigger. That's escalation, right?
Then why won't if the riots are getting bigger, why won't the National Guard just get bigger? Why are you stepping up to the Marines? The National Guard is not even overwhelmed.
Hey, you got to ask Trump that one. I can't answer that question. But think about this. Your own governor don't want it. Your own governor, Newsom, what is he saying? Oh, it's under control. They're just watching, it's just peacefully, happily watching cars burn. That's what the reporter said, right? This is just peaceful protest where they attack cops, they attack ICE agents. That's peaceful, right?
Right, and you see, okay, so
if I peacefully protest in your neighborhood by throwing rocks through your windows, nothing should happen, right?
You call in
no
the
police don't.
You call in the
Marines. According to you guys, it's just peace.
You call in the Marines for rocks being thrown.
According to you, they shouldn't even call in the. According to you, they shouldn't even call in the cops.
Let me ask it to you this way: Do you
believe
that's not a riot? Hold on, let me ask it to you this way:
It's not a riot. There's not enough people.
Do you believe, as Trump said, that what's happening in California is an insurrection? Take your time.
That's questionable. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's an insurrection.
So so even if you who voted for Trump are saying, I don't even know if it's an insurrection, I don't see it as a mass protest, you're questionable about why the Marines are. You started out the conversation by asking me, why do people have a problem with Trump? You're admitting yourself that some of the stuff he's doing and saying, you don't even know for sure if it's necessary. That's why they have a problem with him.
No. That's not why I have a problem. There's no problem here. I said I was happy with what's happening. Okay. First of all, I never said
I didn't say you.
Riots.
I didn't say you.
You said that. You keep trying to push that. You keep trying to switch that around on me. It's not going to happen. Okay.
All right. I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
These guys are upset because they're not getting their way. Just like your last guest said. The only way this is going to stop is if we get our way. They're pissed off that they're not getting their way.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Stop the steal?
No, what stop the steal?
Because a bunch of people were pissed off for not getting their way.
We're talking about ICE. No. We're talking about ICE. We're talking about ICE right now. I know you always want to go back to January 6th, but we're not going to do that right now.
Right. I bet we're not. Damn right we're not going back to June 7th.
I'm worried about June 7th, not January 6th.
And damn right we're not going back to January 6th, since you don't have an argument for that.
You said, but you always go back to that. Okay, there was never enough. That wasn't a mass riot. No. According to you, there was enough people there for that. Okay, if you want to go into that, if you want to go down that road, I'm gonna cook your ass again on that one.
Yeah.
Because that one don't make sense. Because those people, according to you, if you're comparing the two, then everybody that's protesting should be arrested, thrown in jail, and locked up and tossed away the key, and forget due process, forget anything, throw them in isolated cells and torture them.
Oh shit!
Like they did to those January 6ers. Throw them in jail for 30+ years.
Everybody on January 6th got a 30-year sentence.
I'm not saying that. I didn't say that.
I don't know of a single. I don't know of one. I don't know of one single protester, even the leader of the Oath Boys and Proud Keepers. They got a 30. Hold on, wait a minute.
Of course you don't know.
Let me finish the statement. Out of all of the folks, the hundreds of folks that received a jail sentence for January 6th, even the leader of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, who got 18 and 22, not one person got a 30-year sentence. What the hell are you talking about? Not one of them people got a 30-year sentence.
I think it was the Oath.
Not one of them. Not one person on January 6th got a 30-year sentence.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that part, okay? But the point I'm making is, if you're going to compare the two, then they should go in there, arrest every single person, and toss them in jail.
And Trump will pardon them.
According to you.
And Trump will pardon them.
The two,
and then have Trump pardon them. Twisted, I got to move it on. Spirited debate. Always like having you on, man. The door's always open to you, dude. We don't have to agree with it on the damn thing, but I appreciate you coming through.
Talk to you later.
All right, moving on with the program. By the way, this is how we run it. We don't block, ban, or censor. You like that kind of conversation? Feel free to tap the screen, get the lights on up to, what the hell we have, about 70,000? We can make that happen. This is uncensored programming. If you're watching on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Clapper, feel free to follow the program, subscribe if you will. Looking in the comments, the invasion at the border. What is an invasion? Who said that? Marlene Munoz. Is it Munoz or Munoz? You got what looks like a Hispanic name referring to it as an invasion. I don't know. A woman swimming through the Rio Grande with a 6-month-old on her back. She's invading the country, huh? Wow. What is she going to do when she gets over to the other side? An invasion, huh? She's going to go ahead and invade the Lyris Hotel, asking him, can she change people's sheets in the morning, huh? That's a successful invasion, huh? All right, looking in the comments, the dude was horrible. Where's Gangsta at? Okay, you asked, I shall deliver. If she's in the comments. No, she's not there. I thought Gangsta was there. I would have brought her up. We'll continue on, though. Nevertheless, we'll go. Like I said, this is Uncensored Programming. I'm asking a question before we continue on. And oddly enough, he said he doesn't think Trump is antagonizing. That's not Trump. Trump is known for antagonizing. Continuing on with the program, though. Drew Loyal, good evening. Welcome to the program. TDS channel says Ed Z. Trump derangement syndrome, Tango, Delta Sierra. Drew, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, good to have you on. Asking that question, we got Trump in for another 3.5 years. You think we'll be okay? You think we'll gleefully survive the Trump years? What say you?
I hope so. I'm not a fan, but I hope so.
Why not?
It's looking really ugly right now.
Now
I wanted to chime in.
Okay, before you continue, now you're African American, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, now you said you're not a fan of Trump. I'm hearing from Trump himself he's done more for African Americans than anybody since Abraham Lincoln. Why aren't you a fan?
Because that's not true.
Well, sir. All right. What did you want to chime in on?
Oh, no, it was your other guest when he was saying that basically what's going on in L.A. right now is worse than January 6th. And I just wanted to chime in and be like, well, there were deaths on January 6th. There's no recorded deaths right now in L.A. during these riots.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anybody losing their life in L.A. just yet either.
Yeah.
But what about his statement that what's going on in Southern Cal has been? I think this is day 6. January 6th was only about 4 hours.
Right, and there was multiple deaths in hours, and just for him to deny that Donald Trump could have not sent in some additional help is just bananas, right? I mean, he's making an excuse. He's making this excuse to say, "Oh well, because what's going on in L.A. right now, it's days," but that was hours of intense. Like it was like I watched it live, and it was just bananas. It was bananas. I mean, and it's so disingenuous when people you've seen Congress senators running for their lives, and people are chanting like to unalive the vice president. That's bananas, man.
But how do you respond? I'm gonna play the devil's advocate on this. How do you respond to folks who would suggest it couldn't have been that bad. Nobody has weapons. You know, why are they calling January 6th an insurrection? No, you know, you can't have an insurrection without weapons.
They had weapons. They used flagpoles. They used some of them had. I know. Definitely, they were using flagpoles. They had zip ties. They had. They were using.
A zip tie is not a weapon, though. It's a restraint
not a weapon,
device.
but I'm just saying, not a weapon, but a flagpole definitely is.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Trash cans, whatever. Yeah. You know, whatever they could pick up. You know, chairs, whatever they were throwing chairs in there too. So, you know, they were throwing things and breaking the windows. So that any items that they were throwing through windows and crashing windows could be considered a deadly weapon, in my opinion.
How do you respond to folks? Like one of my viewers on YouTube is saying, you know, why did the January 6th rioters get such long sentences compared to, let's say, BLM or, you know, these folks right now that are rioting? I don't know if any of them are going to get a 22 or 18-year prison sentence like the leader of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers received. So, you know, the question is, why did the January 6th people seemingly get treated so harshly compared to other rioters?
Because that was a federal crime. I mean, we talking about going, you know, you're in destroying and basically vandalizing a federal building. I mean, one of the most serious or most important federal buildings in this country. That would be like if I went into the White House and trashed it. Maybe, you know, just trashed it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get some time. You know what I mean? And you're going against federal officers. You know, anytime you go against something, I mean, yeah, LA, that's state. We know federal, any crimes against the feds are more serious. So, yeah. I mean, and then you're talking about going, not only that, but going against the government, right?
Well, but they're suggesting that some of these folks actually received prison sentences and they did nothing more than peacefully walk in the building. They didn't break windows and some of the Capitol Police officers were allegedly letting them in, and all of a sudden they're stuck with a 6-month, 2-year, 5 years prison sentence. They're saying that these people were wrongfully incarcerated for these excruciating periods of time.
And you know, that's crazy, right? Because I heard on someone else's live, not to be disrespectful to yours, but I was on someone else's live, and in the panel, there was a guest stating that she was actually in attendance there, and she said she stated that the officers there let them in, and right. And I just wanted, like, that's not true, because I don't know if you ever been to the Capitol building or one of those type of buildings, you have to get a pass, right? You gotta be, and then there's an entrance. Like, that entrance is downstairs. Yeah. The where they went in,
they were going in through. They were making their own entrances.
Yeah, that's you know what I'm saying. You gotta, and it's like, you know, it's like going to court. You gotta go through the tape. You know what I'm saying? Go through where they scanning you for weapons, and you gotta get a badge. Yeah. Like, you just don't walk. That's just not a building like the bank, U.S. Bank. You can just walk in. Right. And conduct business.
I have to play devil's advocate for the sake. Yeah, I have to play devil's advocate for the sake of doing it. But I agree with you. If you go on a tour of any federal building, from anything from any national park, Mount Rushmore, whatever, you don't get tours by armed officers. That they make the people that give you tours. So clearly something was up. Yeah. Right. You don't get a tour by the Capitol Police. They don't give tours.
Right, and they're going to scan you for weapons.
Yeah. Well,
any contraband, anything that's not allowed, that may be deemed as contraband in that facility.
Yeah. So 3.5 years, you think we'd be okay?
Yeah. I mean, sir. I believe we've been through worse. You know, it looks ugly now, but this country, and you know, we as Americans have been through worse. Maybe not per se us, but people before us. You know,
so we're not going to have a dictator. He's not going to serve additional time. We're not going to have a civil war. You don't see any of that, right?
No, I don't. I see a lot of more drama, for sure. I see a lot more drama. I see a lot more executive orders. I see a lot more of Congress not, maybe not challenging
Right.
what he's putting forth. But I don't see a civil war.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the presidency may turn out good. Then I mean, maybe some things we disagree with in terms of what he does, but at the end of the day, he's just another president, and we'll move on after him. That's kind of what sounds like I'm hearing. So we'll fare just fine. Is that safe to say it that way?
I mean, it's safe to say that way because it's safe to. It's what I want to. It's what I believe and I hope to happen, right? So that's why I say it's safe. But with this individual, I don't anything is safe, or guaranteed. Like I said, in my opinion, I just believe he's just one of those agitators that wants. He doesn't want like for me. I don't believe he wants a union, like us to be together. Like he wants separation and divide.
Oh.
And he's shown to be the master of that. Yeah. What they say, the art of the deal is that, right? That if he got
I don't think there's any denying that he likes division, but this is the guy we put in. I gotta move it on, Drew. Though this is who we have. I like the optimism. We'll be okay. We may have a few things we don't like out of the guy, but at the end of the day, he'll do his term, move aside, and America will continue. That sounds aspirational. Thanks for coming through, Drew.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
it, sir. Have a good day.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program. Tap the screen. I haven't heard anyone telling protesters to stand down, back off, even go home. Yeah, they have. Didn't they declare downtown LA to be a no-go zone? Yeah, they have told them to disperse and go home. That's not true. Who said that in the comments there? I can't see the name, but that actually is not true. They did declare downtown LA for a while as a no-go zone and was telling them to go home. So that's not true. Because you said they didn't tell people to disperse. Yeah, they did. We don't blame 47. We blame the people that voted for that piece of shit. Damn. Pat Zilla says, plus way easier to get to. What are you suggesting? He said, we don't blame 47, meaning President Trump. We don't blame Trump. We blame the people that voted for that piece of shit. Plus, they're way easier to get to. What are you suggesting? That sounds kind of interesting here. Vance is so weird and robotic, terrifyingly cold. I much prefer Trump. I don't think there's anyone on the Republican landscape that MAGA's going to prefer more than Trump because it's the way Trump speaks. He knows how to move a crowd. To quote Eric B. and Rod Kelly, it's just nobody can do what Trump does. He's comical when he needs to be comical for MAGA, at least. I mean, the liberals don't laugh at all of his jokes, but MAGA absolutely finds the guy to be a riot. Whether it's DeSantis, whether it was Nikki Haley, we could talk about Don Jr., we could talk about the Ted Cruz's. There's nobody on the Republican landscape that's going to be a decent replacement for Trump. I don't think there's anybody that can move a crowd, can hold rallies with that much passion and attention that Trump gets. And I just don't see it. That's not to say it won't happen, but I cannot, for a short period of time. And I'm going to put emphasis on short because he strayed completely from the beaten path. Elon had to glow for a short period of time. Elon Musk had a little bit of glow for a short period of time, but he's won against Trump, and you know how it is. There's only so much coming back from that, so Elon is not in anymore. All right, looking in the comments, though, when was the last time the Democrats actually got a vote? What are you referring to? The Democrats get votes all the damn time. They just beat Trump in 2020, and Democrat politicians are winning in some of the races that were held this year, and they're expected to do very well in the midterms next year. So what are you talking about? Everyone talks tough until they're choking on their own blood. Damn, no reply. God damn. Could we just stick with Mike Tyson? Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face. You got to kill a motherfucker. All right, tap the screen, folks. Get the likes on up to 50,000. We'll take the next caller. asking that question, will we survive our current commander in chief? Now, also, I mentioned a couple other things. We've had a few new viewers come in, so I'll go ahead and continue the conversation, if you will. Do you support law enforcement? Some of you folks have heard me say this, but new folks have tuned in, so I'll go ahead and cover it again. Do you support law enforcement? Whether we're talking postal police, IRS has their own police, railroad facilities have their own police. Of course, you have your state police, your local city cops, you name it, the feds included. Do you support any form of law enforcement being able to completely conceal their identity while they're dealing with you during the encounter? Completely conceal their identity. They're wearing facial gear and they have no nameplate. In other words, if something were to happen to you during that encounter and you needed to file a police report against law enforcement, you would not so much as have a name. You would only be able to state some dude in black kicked my ass. I'd like to file a report. Well, who was he? He didn't have a nameplate on. Well, how do we know he's even a cop? Do you support law enforcement being able to do their job in that manner? Concealed cops. Obviously, you know why this is being asked. You're seeing photos and videos of police officers, law enforcement, all over this country doing their jobs while concealed. No nameplate, no facial information at all. You can maybe see the whites of their eyes or something like that, but outside of that, nothing. Do you support allowing law enforcement to do that? Looking in the comments, them are people from January 6th. Damn, Miss Parker. And I have heard that. That's crazy that they would be pardoned for January 6th and then given jobs in law enforcement. I don't know where to go with that. But continuing on with the program, thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Get the likes on up to 50,000. 50, F-I-D-D-Y. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Gangsta, Grandma. Good evening.
Good evening, Fluffy.
I haven't fluffed. There's no fluffing.
Yeah, I cannot. You know you be fluffing.
We're not fluffing today, Gangsta. We're holding it down.
You always be fluffing. You stay fluffing. You like your little maggot ass friends. And guess what? The little maggot friends of yours, I told you they're the Triple K. You seen those damn videos, Fluffy.
Is there anything wrong with having friends that are MAGA?
Why would that? Yeah, is something wrong with your black ass? Who? What? Why would a black man be associated with the Triple K? You motherfucker, you? Now, we already bad enough. We have the maggots are black and brown. That, oh my God, yes, master, yes, master. Then we got your little fat ass over there, yes, master, too. They my homies. Yeah, with the loose around your neck.
So, wow. So you're suggesting that, okay, let's say, for instance, when you found out one of your friends was voting for Trump, they would no longer be your friend?
Honey, I threw away my old man behind Trump. My black man, he voted for Trump. You know why he said he voted for Trump? He's going to give us won't take away our Second Amendment. I said, for real? For real, my ninja? For real? Yeah, he said, I said, oh, for real? You know what? I went to the left, threw his crap out, put some you know what on it, blew it up. I said, bye-bye.
What happened to just simply being free? Why would you try to demand? Why would you try to demand your friends and your lover, your man, have the same political views and aspirations as you? You don't give them freedom to choose who they want?
Hell, not with the maggots. That's the Triple K right there. What you talking about, Willis? Hell no.
Oh.
No, he could just, no. You got me messed up. You lost my damn, no. That's my respect. That's my morals. That's my beliefs. Now, if you voted for that man, you know, you sound everything he believes in. He's taking away our civil rights. He's taking books out of our schools and stuff. And my ex, yeah, he's my ex for a damn good. He's a good speed bump. And I told him that every time I see him, I'll try to do it. You know, good speed bump.
And the only thing he did wrong was supported Trump.
That's right. I told that fool, because he was talking about it. I told him, I said, you vote for that man, I promise you, I promise you, it'll be out my damn house. He thought I was. He thought I was joking. And I told him, I said, he's taking books out of our schools. He's telling, he is deleting Black history. That's American history right there. What are you talking about? He's deporting people that has jobs and stuff and everything.
So Anthony,
hell yeah, I said to the left.
Well, Anthony Alexander on YouTube states the books he took out of schools were on drag material.
No, they took books. Okay, so what's drag about? What is about Tillman? What's wrong about that? Martin Luther King and what? Black history. What? That's drag. And don't worry, and what? And they took out LGBTQ. Why? Because you guys don't want your kids to know that there is gay people out there? You guys want your kids to go, oh my God, they're going to turn my kids gay? Well, let me tell you something about gay people. We can't with straight people. Reese?
Well, the notion is, the notion is that sexuality has no place in schools. That's why they're taking the books out.
For real? That's why your kids are coming out pregnant at 16. For real? You think your kids gonna be like, oh my God, they're gonna test sexuality. Oh my God. Honey, your kids know stuff before you even think they know. Honey, I was a kid. I knew what a dang-a-lang went into. I know how to do it. What the fuck? And being gay, honey, is not sexuality. Okay?
Yeah, but
we was doing it at 11 years old. See, do you see how special the maggots are? Do you really see? You're going to teach my kids sexuality. You better teach them somewhere, honey. But being gay isn't sexuality, honey.
But I'm going to ask you what I always ask you when we talk. You don't think you can't accept that there are legitimate reasons, even if a person is Black, to vote for Trump. You don't see that.
Nope. They are house ninjas who voted for Trump, and you Black. I call my own man, my ex-old man that. I said, you a house? Yes, master. Yes, master. If you vote for this man and you know what he's about, they know what he's about right now. They know it.
I'm gonna pick your brain here. Give me 3 reasons, 3 things that Trump has done that makes it so a Black man should never ever vote for him. Because I want you to back up what you're saying.
Really?
3 things.
Okay, 3 things. Putting the military against us in the protest. That, because if he could do that, he's taking our civil rights. He's doing everything, our books out of it, taking the black soldiers off the wall and stuff, HBCUs. He's trying to defund them. He's trying to take everything from them. Yes. Like what? A college? He's trying to tell people not to be DEI in college, and all his cabinet is DEI to them. Go fucking figure.
Okay, you gave me 4. Let me tackle some of these, okay?
You said 3.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mind an extra. Now, you started out by saying putting the military against us. He's not ordering the military to specifically deal with Black people. Where are you getting that from?
What are you? Oh my! Oh,
that's what you said.
Whoa.
That's what you said. The military.
Damn, you see how you fluff it? Do you comprehend who in the?
Tell me, no. I'm being candid here. I mean,
who's on the front line? Who is right now protesting? Black and brown people. Black and brown people.
No, there are plenty of white people that are liberal that do not like what's happening that are protesting as well.
I'm not saying they're not. But who is right now on the front line right now? Leave out the white people out for a minute. Black and brown people are out there protesting right now. Now, they're treating us worse than he is doing Russia. He sends his military for us, but won't do a damn thing about Russia. Go fucking figure.
So let me ask you this way.
You know that there's more military people in LA right now than over there in the Middle East, in Syria and stuff.
I do believe that's true. But
All right then.
I see John Lendigan, I think it says. John says you're making him proud of his Trump vote. So, but I want to ask you, because you're telling me that if the majority of the protesters in LA protesting Trump's immigration policies, if they were white, you don't think the military would be there?
Did you see January 6th?
Yeah.
Did you see January 6th?
I saw
He said he could not bring the military in. Hello.
Okay,
He sure did it in the LA.
Yeah. Now you also talked about DEI. Now the notion is you want people with the proper merit to get the job. How is that hurting black people?
DEI is for that. When you're disabled and you have the same merit as a white tea man or anybody else, but you got a disability, or you're a white tea woman, and you got the same merit, they have to put you in it because they don't do fair shit. They don't. Let's be real. But they said, oh no, DEI is for people that's uneducated and everything else. Well, guess what? I guess this whole damn administration is. The whole cabinet DEI right there. Booyah.
Yeah, but I'm still not hearing how this stuff. You said Trump, there's no reason for.
You be fluffing. You're on your knees for Donald Trump. You fluffing.
Why am I on my knees? No, I'm actually sitting down and talking to you. I'm just trying to get clarity on what you're saying. You're saying Trump has put himself in a way that there's no reason for a black person to ever vote for him, and I'm questioning the things you've given.
Tell me, why would you vote for him? Because I can tell you, I'm a black woman. I can tell you, I would have never voted for him. Okay. I can tell you everything why I wouldn't vote for the white tea man. That his daddy was a triple K. He's known to be a racist. He's doing racist shit right as we speak.
Okay. Well, I'll say, in regards to your question, you asked me why would I vote for him. Now, I didn't vote for Trump, but I understand why.
I know you didn't.
Hold on, but I understand why people of color did, and I've given you these reasons before. If you
people on money.
What?
They wanted money in their pockets.
Well, financial reasons, yes, that is true, but there's more.
Okay, I'm gonna shut you down on this. Do you know the so-called AKA? Oh, China. We got a what is it called? We got a trade agreement with China with that minerals and every damn thing else.
Right.
Guess who won out of that? Guess who won? I'm
assuming you're gonna say China.
China did. They only got 10% of tariffs. Guess what we got?
What?
We got 50%. And guess what the Boeing and all them got? They got the minerals and stuff. We got to pay 50% tariffs. You motherfuckers got to read. You guys got to read the thing. The tariffs on 50%.
Listen, Trump's tariffs, the numbers change so much that it's like watching an old episode of Knight Rider when he stepped on the gas pedal. Whatever's going on with Trump's tariffs today could be totally different tomorrow. So I can't even go by the numbers on that because it changes so much.
I'm telling you, they even said it. It's 50%. We have 50% of tariffs on China. We are paying 50% in tariffs. You know why I know? Because it's fucking my money up. Okay? Yeah.
Well, I got folks like Richard Andrew Crosby on YouTube that say you're actually getting this backwards. Some folks are saying, I think it's mandible claw.
You know what? MAGA gets everything backwards. You know what they said? That China pays the tariffs. They always saying China's paying the tariffs. China's paying the tariffs. Fucking rejects. We pay the damn tariffs.
But when I told you there's reasons for an African American to vote for Trump, I was going to give you reasons like, depending on your stance on the Second Amendment, you're not going to vote liberal if you're.
Oh my God! Oh, you know what? Let me tell you about the Second Amendment, okay? God, this is how uneducated this whole system is. This is why you cannot give up. We cannot give up our damn the education because the dingbats. He is doing. Do you know the stock bond, the stock, whatever the bump stock thing? He broke the Second Amendment. He broke it.
That is true.
He broke it. Not us. We don't want to take away the pew pews because I have pew pews. I have a pew pew in every room of my house. I got a pew pew. I'm a Democrat. I love my pew pew. So when a motherfucker act crazy, I'll pew pewing them up. You feel what I'm saying? I love my Second Amendment.
So do you feel? So let me ask you this simple question: when it comes to defending your Second Amendment rights, if it came down to electing Kamala Harris or Trump on that only issue, that sole issue, who would you go with?
Oh, my Kamala Harris. What are you talking about? Because she is a Democrat with the pew pew. We're not taking away pew-pews. That's why the uneducated mofos, that's why he loved the uneducated mofos. Right. That's why Democrats are more educated. They even said that because
okay, let me move on to the next one. Between Kamala Harris and Trump, this sole issue, you want to make sure boys do not play in women's sports. Who are you voting for?
They're talking about trans women.
Yes.
There's only 10 trans people.
I get it.
Of the whole United States.
That's not answering the question, though.
I'll still vote for her. Because why are you worried about 10 people? Why are you worried about 10 people? Why aren't you worried about, SA? Why don't you get
They're worried about it. Gangsta grandma, they're worried about it because they believe it starts at 10, but it's going to spread and become normalized.
Oh, they're worried about the wrong shit. They're worried about gender, for real. They're worrying about gender, for real.
I'm just telling you
real.
I'm just telling you why.
Out here we got to worry about than gender, and 10 people in the whole United States playing sports. 10 people. Why don't we worry about unaliving our kids in school? The pew-pew. Why don't we worry about how you're going to feed the homeless? But you're more worried about gender, because they're homophobic. They're transphobic. They're worried about the wrong crap.
So in other words, they should vote for Trump. You just saying they're worried about the wrong crap. But you didn't. I mean, if that is something they're actually worried about, then Trump is the person you vote for.
I'd rather vote for somebody that knows our history, that will treat everybody equal. Don't give to the rich and take away from the poor. Because who is going to hurt at the end if this big, beautiful bill is going to be who? The red states. I'm in a blue state. I pay for all the red states. We put in $80 billion in feds. We don't even take that much back. $80 billion.
I get it. Last but not least, you're concerned with protecting the life of the unborn. You got to choose between Kamala Harris and Trump.
Oh my God, unborn, really?
You got to choose between. If that is a major, if protecting the life of the unborn is a major issue to you, you got to choose between Kamala Harris and Trump, and that is your issue. Who you picking?
Still vote for her. Because you don't have to agree on everything somebody thinks. But when it comes to fascism compared to that, a parasite, a little blood clot that cannot live without the woman until what, 24?
Did you say a little blood clot?
A blood clot. When they're 6 weeks, when they say it's a blood clot.
Wow.
Have you ever seen one? Have you ever had a miscarriage? It's a blood clot. Let's keep it on 100 bucks.
All right.
I had a miscarriage. And does it have arms and stuff at 6 weeks? No. It was a blood clot. When I had a miscarriage and I was hemorrhaging, all I had was a damn blood clot that come out. There wasn't no formed baby or nothing like that. See, that's why you motherfuckers like, oh my God, it has a heartbeat. Oh my God, it has legs at 6 weeks. Get the hell. Good God, it's a blood clot.
All right. Jeez. All right, Tracy.
I'm going to tell you something. You know what? You see how bad he's crying and everything about the immigrant at the undocumented? Now he's changing it all up. Don't go arrest them when they're picking fruit and stuff in the fields. Don't do it. You know who is calling them? His big people. Yeah. His big guns.
Dencal mentioned. I think you're getting that one right. Dencal mentioned that earlier. Gangsta Grandma, I got to move it on. Thank you. All right, moving on to the program. By the way, tap the screen. We should certainly be around 60. 60. We should be around 60,000. You guys let your thumbs not be lazy. Tap the damn screen. Get the likes on up to about 60,000. 300 plus of you in here. We can certainly make that happen. Smash that like button if you're tuned in on YouTube, horizontal, YouTube, vertical as well. She's not ignorant. And F you for talking about a black elder. Okay, so you guys are having a conversation in your own. Also, that's so racist to say they are the ones picking shit. Well, call it racist or not, but that is. I mean, listen, if I want to say that the majority of drive-bys in America are committed by black people, is that really racist? I mean, it's probably a fact, is it not? I mean, there are some bad things certain groups of people do. You know, when you're talking about mass shootings, I mean, the majority of those are done by white people. Is it racist to say that? I mean, it depends on who you want to ask about that. And by the way, when we're talking about mass casualty events, we're not talking about some gangbanger that took out 3 or 4 of his rivals simultaneously. I'm talking about crimes where The person who is committing the crime is going to just go into a dwelling and take out a bunch of innocent people he does not know, has no beef with at all. That is primarily a white crime. It's just plain and simple. It's primarily something in this country right now that is being done by white people. Anyway, looking in the question is that racist to say that? Looking in the comments, back the blue, says Ed Z. Nothing wrong with backing the blue. Just do not make excuses or defend cops when they become corrupt or go off the grid. As long as they're doing their job, we should all be backing the blue. But don't make excuses and turn a blind eye to ones that are bad. Or this 99% on cops are good bullshit. Don't go in that direction. My wife is back. She couldn't believe the last caller's rhetoric. Anthony, that's how it gets on the program sometimes. That's how when you're running a free speech program, you're going to hear things you agree with, you disagree with. I need 60,000. Tap the screen. Get your boy a minute of tapping. We'll go ahead and take the next caller. But looking in the comments, Democrats are not doing well. They don't even have a platform to stand on. That's how bad they're doing, says one of my viewers. That's not totally true. I think what the Trump side, let's just say it this way. Many people believe the Democrats lost in 2024 because they went too far to the left. LGBTQ issues, folks were pinning defunding the police to them, pinning woke issues to them. They went too far to the left is what many folks would say, and that's what helped Trump rise back to power. What those same folks, while stating the Democrats do not have a platform, do not realize is that you can go too far to the right as well. For the same reason you're saying the Democrats lost, you can do the same thing in reverse. Forcing Bibles in schools, forcing a rape victim to carry a child to term, which you heard my last caller being quite upset about, stuff like that. That's going too far right. That's going too far right. Getting rid of porn. You think a lot of, because Trump did very well with the male vote. I think a lot of dudes are going to be happy with all these right-wing states now talking about getting rid of porn. Some of the younger voters in the 20s and 30s getting rid of marijuana and fight. You think they're going to be cool with that? So you can go too far to the right. You start taking away things that people like and enjoy. You can go too far to the right as well. So don't assume that because the Democrats do not have a platform, in your opinion, that Trump or the right is secure in the next election. Now that they have control of all the mechanisms of government, they're looking at it as a free-for-all. Let's do whatever the hell we want. You think they're doing good with Hispanics now? You think the Hispanic vote that Trump really did well with in 2024, you think that vote is still there? You can go too far to the right. Keep that in mind. The same reason you're saying the Democrats lost, you can emulate that on the right side of the aisle. Because I can tell you one thing, all of these immigrants being taken away at job sites and things like that, the Hispanic population is not standing up saying, yay, that's what we voted for. Get rid of mommy. Kick her kid out of here. Get rid of the Hispanic with cancer and deport him. I can tell you the Hispanic community is probably not cheering that on. I haven't checked the polls on it, so I can't speak on this, so I'm speculating. But my guess is Trump's poll numbers with Hispanics has taken a negative turn. They're not the same. They haven't improved. They have taken a negative turn because the Venezuelans and Cubanos who would not dare vote for a Democrat because they were convinced that Democrats are communists, I cannot imagine losing protected status that they had under the Democrats and losing it under Trump is something they're cheering for. I cannot see that. Anyway, looking in the comments, where's the Palestinians? That was another one. In the suburbs of Detroit, can't think of the name of the area there, but there's a large Muslim population out there that voted for Trump because they thought Joe Biden was promoting genocide in Gaza. Genocide Joe has got to go. Gotta assume they're not any happier with Trump. It ain't like Trump stepped in and got Netanyahu under control. So I understand that. Trump's numbers, you can go too far to the right. What about the black vote? Something with the black vote, maybe I'm wrong here, and I'm sure my black viewers will probably correct me on this. I don't think it's changed much. I mean, he didn't get a lot of black votes to begin with, But from what I've been able to see, doing this online and all the black MAGA I talk to, I haven't heard too many disgruntled black MAGA because they're not facing what the Hispanic community is facing. Most black people ain't never went to an HBCU. You heard what I asked the last caller? Give me the reasons. Get your boy up to 60,000. I'll take the next caller. I asked her to give me the reasons why you think blacks shouldn't vote for Trump. And she gave me 4 reasons. Most of this stuff does not affect the black community. She talked about he's defunding HBCUs. I've never stepped foot in an HBCU. If they all went away, it wouldn't change my life at all. I don't think blacks are voting on whether money is going to HBCUs or not. And I know the Trump administration tried to use that constantly as a suggestion as to why he's not racist, where he allocated money to HBCUs. That ain't doing shit for the average black man. Like I said, most people ain't got nothing to do with HBCUs. She also mentioned the military being turned on us. That hasn't affected the average black person one bit. Most black people are not at the protests, and the military is only in somewhat small numbers at this point. So I'm just simply saying right now, I don't believe the black vote for Trump has really been affected that much because the black community, they've taken some of the books out of schools. They've removed some of the accolades to black soldiers in the military, but this stuff still really is not affecting the average black American that much. You're talking about some of the DEI stuff, but get rid of DEI stuff for the most part. Once again, it really is not affecting the black community too much. So I don't think that the black vote, the few that were voting for Trump, like 20 some odd percent of black males and 7% of black women. So he didn't have the black women's vote to begin with. I don't think it's really been affected that much. I think the biggest change is probably with the Hispanics and white votes. I think those are the biggest changes because there's a lot of white MAGA that lost their federal jobs, are losing their farm subsidies, are questioning about what's going to happen with Medicaid and Medicare. I'm not talking about white liberals. I'm talking about white conservatives. So he's probably hurt himself with the white vote, and he's definitely hurt himself with the Hispanic vote. The black population is only 13 to 15% of the population to begin with. A lot of us don't even show up to the polls on election day anyway, and most of us vote liberal. So I don't think it's a big issue there, but I think with the white and the Hispanic vote, the numbers will show you. Looking in the comments though, shrink government. You're not getting that under Trump, Anthony Alexander. The Latinos helped that vote. Now they're protesting the answer. So, well, yeah, they're very unhappy because Trump is doing a lot of things he didn't campaign on. Women like him less in general. Yeah, I believe that. But he won the women's vote. Trump won the women's vote. It's that they didn't like Kamala Harris at all, apparently. States distribute the money they tax crops on. States have crops come in and keep all the money and increase the wealth gap. Well, like I said, the subsidies, things that were being done the tariffs are hurting people too. There's so much going on with the Trump administration, and I'll take the next caller, but there's so much going on with the Trump administration that it's hard to focus on one thing because something else is always happening. I mean, just a week ago, Elon Musk was suggesting that he was involved in pedophilia. Now we got the riots going on in Southern Cal. The tariffs are not even being talked about. I mean, there's just so much shit going on. The threats to Medicaid and Medicare, all of this stuff is like less than a month old. But understand, the tariffs are hurting a lot of small businesses, whether it's being talked about or not, and that's going to affect his vote with those people. Like I mentioned, the farming subsidies, what's being done to farming communities, because the soybean and stuff they created and was shipping to Canada with the tariffs, they're being affected there. The subsidies to the farms are being cut by way of Doge. They're being affected there. So the aid that they normally used to get, all of that stuff's being affected. All of that's been affected. They just aren't able to cover it all because Trump is constantly doing something else worth talking about. But all of that stuff is happening. And them folks are going to be a bit more hesitant when talking about supporting Trump. MAGA is being affected by this. It's not all libtards. There are plenty of MAGA being affected by what he's doing. Anyway, go back to the box. Continuing on with MAGA Reacts. Good evening. Welcome to the program. He won fair and square, just like Biden and the Camel did. Well, when Biden won, they didn't say he won fair and square. They tried to cheat and steal the election there, Hagen boss. Good evening, MAGA Reacts. Welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to not much at all. You see what the question is behind me. How are we going to survive the Trump years? I mean, it's are we talking about just another 3.5 years and he's out like all the rest of them, or are we talking about something else?
Yeah, we'll survive. Right now, the issue is the media. After a couple of give it like another 100 days, a year tops, and they're gonna realize the media is up to their old fucking tricks, and they're gonna fucking see through it like they did last time. They're gonna see it's all fucking fear-mongering and BS, and their lives haven't changed, and hopefully their lives will be better.
So you think it's just the media then?
It's more, the media for sure. I mean, again, I've been telling you for days that, all this bullshit about him bringing in the National Guard. The National Guard hasn't touched a single protester. It's all the media's fear-mongering.
Well, wait a minute, though. The media MAGA is not the ones telling us he's bringing the National Guard in. He's the one that's saying that.
They're highlighting it. They're fucking choosing the narrative to say on their shows.
But they're not making it up, though. What did you say?
This little story about how, him bringing in National Guards had just made things worse when the National Guards have done a thing. I still haven't seen the National Guard even touch a protester. It's LAPD shooting them left and right.
Yeah, but he's on TV saying that the stuff has calmed down due to him sending the National Guard in there. Should the media just ignore him saying that?
Yeah, he wants to take credit for fixing the problem. I would too. But
how can you take wait, you're saying the National Guard is not really in there doing anything at all, but he's taking credit for them solving it. What should the media do with that information?
It should tell the truth. That the National Guard hasn't done anything. That's LAPD making things worse. That it's Newsom and them that are causing all this bullshit to escalate.
So they should tell the truth and say that what Trump is telling you about his National Guard is calming this stuff down is a lie, is what you're saying.
They should say they haven't done a thing.
Trump, when Trump says the National Guard at his behalf is calming this stuff down, is he lying about that?
I mean, no, they're just there as backup. As far as I'm concerned, they're just backup just in case things get really bad. But like most people say, that it's really not that bad. But it is bad, but it's not as bad as,
So did the National Guard calm things down?
They didn't do either. They didn't make it worse. They didn't calm anything down.
So when Trump says the National Guard calm things down, is he lying?
I guess so.
Why are you guessing?
He's taking credit for something he didn't do.
Right.
And it might backfire in his face.
Okay. Should the media cover and tell you he's lying?
The media should tell the truth that, the National Guard hasn't done a thing. If the media would have told the truth from day one, none of this shit would have escalated. It would have probably died down. Them announcing the National Guard deployment, it just made things worse.
Are we holding the media to a higher standard than Trump? Now, you said the media should tell the truth, but you're admitting that the president is lying. So is it possible that maybe the president should tell the truth?
Even if he told the truth, they would fucking change the narrative. They would edit the narrative to tell the narrative they want to tell. And it's not even him. It's mostly like Newsom saying that he's making things worse. And Bass and, it's the people in charge of LA.
So you say even if he told it, so you say even if he told the truth, the media would change the narrative. So since they're going to change the narrative, I'll just go out and lie, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because he's taking credit. He's doing what he should be doing. Because it's better to have the National Guard there and not need them than need them and not have them.
So he should be lying.
What does lying have to do with this? We're talking about the deployment of the National Guard.
You are adamant that the media...
You're trying to change the subject to his lying or not lying. That doesn't matter at all.
You are adamant that the media should tell the truth, but if the president lies, it don't matter.
Listen, they ask him question and he answers them, and they fucking highlight the answer in a way to tell the story they want to tell.
You literally are telling me, though. You are literally telling me that in the middle of a riot, it does not matter if the president is lying about it.
What is?
That's what you're telling me.
I don't get the point here. Like, how has Trump's lying made things worse? I mean, he's fucking playing along with the media, which I don't get the strategic fucking point behind it. But in my eyes, Trump wouldn't have even been in position to lie if the media didn't blame him for fucking, releasing the National Guard.
Why is he lying? What is the benefit to telling a lie?
Why do you keep sticking to this lie thing? How about we talk about the actual things
Why am I sticking to this? You are all over the media for being dishonest. But the minute I bring up that the president is lying and you admit he's lying, well, that don't matter. I mean, you're giving the president more room to move around than the media. You're holding the media to a higher account than the president of the United States. Why is that?
Well, he's one man. The media is sitting there and highlighting stories from Newsom, from the entire Democratic Party. I saw four senators telling the same story.
He's one man, huh? I'm just the president. I'm only one man.
Like, I love how you twist things. You're just as good at or bad as that.
He's the president of the free world, but he's only one man, huh?
Well, what do you want him to do?
We want him to tell the fucking.
He's only got so much power. All he can do is deploy the National Guard and only fucking protect federal buildings.
We want to know that
a single video of a National Guard doing anything to make things worse on the ground.
Is it wrong to suggest that we should have a president we can trust and doesn't telling a lie so willy-nilly as you're saying? Well, it don't matter, huh? I'm just one man.
It's not really lying, though. Like, he believes that his actions are going to make things better. And like I said, it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. I mean, look at when a cop pulls anybody over. First thing he does is call for backup. Trump sends them backup, and fucking Newsom and Bass are like, oh, no, we don't need them. They're just going to make things worse. And what about Newsom and Bass, the people in charge of the actual city and the state? They keep saying National Guard have made things
They're not in charge, MAGA. That's the reason the military and the Marines are sent there is because Trump decided they're not going to be in charge. The citizens there are being told that.
How are they not in charge?
What?
How are they not in charge? If it's LAPD doing everything and they control the LAPD 1,000%, how are they not in charge?
How could LAPD be doing everything when Trump is telling us it's his soldiers that is calming things down?
Yeah, their presence will calm things down.
That ain't what he said. That ain't what he's saying,
though. Fucking exploding. Like, they put like I said, they're there as backup. So if shit hits the fan, they're there. So in a way, he isn't telling a lie. He's telling the truth because, they're there. They're not going to do any harm, and if they're needed, they're there to help.
So you mean he sent in
LAPD and Newsom and Bass?
So you're saying the National Guard and the troops that Trump deployed are there as backup, but they're not really involved with anything?
That's the truth. Look at the videos. Do you not see the videos? This isn't like this isn't 1992. We have videos, live videos. You can show me one video where there's a National Guard fighting with protesters. Every video, it's LAPD.
Somebody, I see in the comments, Tweety71 is suggesting that, asking, do we have tomatoes to throw at the callers? We don't throw tomatoes at the callers, but...
I have plenty. I got 4 tomato trees. They're fucking...
But I'm going to ask you, if what you're saying is true, that the only confrontation is between LAPD and the rioters and that the National Guard is simply there as backup. And of course, he upgraded from the National Guard to the Marines. So if the National Guard is backup, I guess the first question would be, then why the hell did you upgrade to the Marines? But you do understand that there's huh?
They're just more backup. Like, it doesn't matter.
Why are you calling backup when the backup you originally called is not being used?
Because supposedly they were taking forever to show up, and that's why he called the Marines. Because
it's only been 6 days, MAGA reacts. It's only been going on for 6 days.
Hey, it was Newsom complaining that only 300 National Guards were actually deployed.
So you called in, so you're saying...
by the way, this is rioters looting, by the way. They looted an Adidas store, they looted a sushi place, they looted an Apple store.
You got my fucking viewers on YouTube using tomato icons. Look, so you're telling me he called in back.
Like saying wrong here. Look at what the National Guards are doing. Shit. Do you signal a protester in this video?
Another explosive night in Southern California.
Look, who is that? That's LAPD.
Over immigration.
Who is that? That's LAPD.
Okay.
They're black. They wear black. National Guard wear military fatigues.
But think about what you're saying. You're saying that all of the work is being done by LAPD and the National Guard is there. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. You're saying all the work is being done by the LAPD, all the conflict, and the National Guard is only there for backup. But he decided that the backup needed backup, so he called in trained killers in the form of the Marines. Why is that?
I told you, because the National Guard were taking too long to get there.
$134 million. You think that
every one of these videos are fucking, they're all LAPD. What do you want me to say?
But you're telling me that the LAPD has the situation under control. So why would you? And by the way, the Marines. Hold on.
I didn't say that.
You said
I said they're in charge.
You said the National Guard was taking too long to get there. Okay, so once the National Guard arrived, why wasn't the Marines sent back?
I don't know, man. You should ask.
I'm asking you because you defending this shit. That's who I'm asking. I'm asking you because you trying to make this sound like it's legit.
What do you mean? What am I saying that's not right? Do you see a single Marine in this video?
I'm hearing.
Show me a video of a single Marine with a protester, and then you can prove me wrong.
Well, the problem.
All I see is LAPD. I have not seen a single video of National Guard or anybody.
The problem with
but this is ICE.
The problem with your statement about show me a single Marine and all this stuff you're saying is that it only works if you exclude what the president is saying. You're skipping over all the lies that Trump is saying, because if you listen to what Trump is saying, apparently these people are involved. He's not saying what you're saying.
Why are you always stuck to what Trump is saying? I'm talking about what's happening in the fucking city. What's happening with the riots?
Because he's talking about what's happening.
You're talking about what this guy is saying. I'm talking about facts on the ground.
Because he is also
with facts on the ground. You're replying to me with what this guy said.
Well, because he's telling us what's happening on the ground too. That's what he is saying is happening on the ground. So what? You know more than the president?
I guess so. I don't know. I'm just going off people and their videos. People are actually there. So I think people are actually there, and these cameras are not lying, are they?
So is the president lying?
I don't know if he's lying or not lying. I don't know what he's doing or what his purpose is.
Either the military is involved, either the LA police have things under control and the military is just backup like you're saying, or the military is involved and they're calming the situation down like he is saying. One of y'all ain't telling the truth. Which one is it?
They're both true. LAPD is the tip of the spear, okay? LAPD is in the front dealing with the protesters. The National Guard and the Marines are backup. Their presence alone will, just makes people think twice about escalating things. I mean,
so if the military is there and they're only as backup and their presence is calming people down, why is he referring to it as an insurrection?
It's not an insurrection yet.
Then why is he saying it is? Why is he calling it an insurrection?
It's not an insurrection. He hasn't called it that yet.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has referred to it as an insurrection. Why is what you're saying, if you know what you're talking about, so different than the president? He has called it an insurrection.
Why are we talking about the president and what he's saying?
We're on a political show, MAGA Reacts.
You're this is lies or this and that.
This is a political show.
So much shit, so I can't even sit there and look up what you're talking about to actually see what the reference was and what the fuck he was saying. you're referring to so much of his shit, and I can't just.
That's the
if
problem.
you give me a specific video, maybe I could watch it and I tell you what he was talking about in that video. But I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know how he's trying to use the situation politically. I don't know what his purpose is. But what I'm showing you is facts on the ground. I'm showing you what the rioters and, you know, what's happening in the fucking place in LA.
Well, the problem
and what
is,
show me is a video of military doing anything bad that, you know, of them shooting a rioter or a protester, them doing anything to escalate things. Well, we have more cameras than ever. Like, you keep talking about what the president's saying, but there's more cameras on the ground than ever before. Yet you're like, oh, Trump said this and said that. I mean, he's saying what he's saying for political purposes.
Well, but the reason why I'm bringing up what I keep bringing up what Trump is saying is because you started out the live by suggesting that, or the conversation by suggesting that the media is blowing things out of proportion. But then when I started giving you all of the things they're reporting from Trump, you're starting to admit he's telling a lot of lies. So, I mean, you're making it clear that Trump, the way Trump is describing things on the ground, is totally not true. So that's why it's coming out bad, because we have a president that's lying to the people.
I know, but in the end, it's the media that chooses to highlight what to play from Trump and what not to play from Trump. So in the end, it's still the media's fault.
Do you think it might go? Do you think things might be a little bit better if he wasn't lying so much? Maybe the media. If he wasn't giving them so much,
they would just highlight some other shit. They're always going to highlight what they want to highlight. It's like you always change the subject to what you want to change the subject to, and you end up winning these little debates because you're good at it.
I'm not trying to win the debate. I'm trying to figure out where your head is. You're basically telling us that the media should be held to a higher standard when it comes to honesty and integrity than the president of the United States. I'm trying to figure out what's making you say that.
I'm not even saying all that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are saying that.
Let's agree that both sides are lying, and I'm just showing you how they're lying. I'm not saying any of what you're saying. All I'm saying is they're lying, and this is why they're lying. Because it's LAPD. They're saying National Guards are making things worse, but it's LAPD right there.
So why is Trump lying?
Because it's beneficial to him politically.
So maybe it's beneficial to the media.
Yeah, it's definitely beneficial to do some politically to tell this story, and definitely but they're both lying. But which lie is worse?
The president lying is always the president. And by the way, keep in mind, Truth Social is media. So when you keep saying the media is lying, every time Trump tells a lie on Truth Social or X, he is the media lying to you as well. He owns a media outlet.
Nobody gets their Truth Social shit from Truth Social.
Are you kidding me?
I get it from other sources.
People have been fired by way of Trump's tweets. Yeah, they do get their media from Truth Social. Where did you find out that Trump was on the Epstein list? You didn't hear that first on ABC. It came from Elon's X. You do get your news from there.
I'm actually on X. I got that from the news. What the news chose to highlight.
So they should have ignored that.
I got that from what what the news chose to highlight. I'm not actually on X reading Elon's tweets. I'm not actually on Truth Social reading, their tweets.
So if Elon tells us that Trump is involved in sex with underage teens, the media telling you what he said is highlighting it?
Yeah. I would have never found out about it if it wasn't for the media highlighting it. I'm not on fucking X reading his shit. He never said all that.
You ever heard of a phrase? You ever heard of the phrase "report the news"?
Okay, but there's so much news, and they pick and choose what they want to report to tell the rhetoric they want to report.
One of the top members
that we're having the other day.
One of the top members of Trump's cabinet is suggesting that he's deliberately hiding information that he was involved in sex with underage kids. You're telling me they deliberately pick and choose? What should they do with that information? What should the media do with that information?
I love how you exaggerating and how you exaggerated and gaslighted.
What should the media do? Wait, hold on. Let me say it again for the audience in the back. One of Trump's top administration officials has just indicated that he is deliberately hiding a list because he was involved in sexual exploitations of minors. What should the media do with that?
That's all he said.
He said that Trump is
How
keeping
do
the
you
Epstein
think the
files
Epstein
hidden.
file to say all that?
What should the media do with that information? When Elon
They
said
should
that, what should
report
they
it.
do with it?
They should report it,
Thank
but they
you.
shouldn't twist it to say all the extra shit you're saying. So should I say you're lying by saying that he said that he's being a pedophile? Because he never said anything about Trump being a pedophile. He just said Trump's in the Epstein.
So Trump is on the Epstein list, and when you look at the information, they were just hanging out at Yankee games watching Derek Jeter on. That's why he's on the Epstein list. Because he was at the.
They probably
What do you
really
think?
were because they were acquaintances.
What do you
They both-
think? Why do you think he's on the Epstein list? He was hanging out at Yankee games. What do you think
First of
is
all,
happening?
You keep saying list again to suggest that he's one of the people that was one of the pedophiles. He's in the file. That means he had an association with Epstein, which is like fucking public news. We all know he used to be friends with Epstein.
Okay, so you're on the Epstein. So being on the Epstein
He didn't
list.
say he was a pedophile. He didn't even say he visited the island. All he said he was in the file. That means he had some sort of association with Epstein, which is technically true. He had he knew Epstein. They were,
You guys were all over everybody from Oprah Winfrey to Tom Hanks for being on that list, but now that Trump is on it, well, that don't mean anything all of a sudden now, huh? But when Oprah and Will Smith was on it, you were all over them.
You keep nitpicking. Look, your guesses. Remember yesterday you said guesses are like lies. Now you're guessing, and how come your guesses are not lies, but Trump's guesses are lies, and my guesses are lies.
Okay. I gotta move it on, MAGA Reacts.
About how Trump guessing this is him lying. Now you're lying.
If that's
you don't know he's on the list.
His top hit, the probably the guy with access to more data than anybody else in Trump's administration says the guy is on the list. Should we just dismiss that?
He's in the file. Again, you keep fucking twisting it. He's in the file. A file and a list are two. The list of people who committed pedophilia with Epstein is a different thing.
Why do you think Elon would say he said the reason Trump is not releasing the Epstein files is because he's on it. If Trump was in the file but he wasn't doing nothing nefarious, why would he deliberately choose to keep it hidden? There's only one reason why you wouldn't want people to know you're on the Epstein file. It's because you were doing Epstein type shit. You don't see that?
You might be right. We'll find out.
Might be.
The file.
Might be.
It doesn't mean it's true now. But look, remember the other day we were talking about when the National Guard were called for? If you look at the select committee's timeline, where is it? Well, this is it, basically. On 1:49 p.m., the National Guard received the first request for immediate assistance from the U.S. Capitol Police. This is when they were called. Before they even breached the building, the National Guard was already called to show up and help. At roughly 2:12 p.m., protesters breached the Capitol and began assaulting police officers. So pretty much 20 minutes before they even breached the Capitol, they had the National Guard already called.
I gotta go. Inane Barber says somebody get this man knee pads. I gotta go. MAGA Reacts, always a pleasure.
And I got the letter from the mayor saying she doesn't need any federal help January 5, 2021.
Okay.
She's like, I don't need any federal help, no fucking National Guard, no nothing. And those are the two things we kept bringing up the last two times. And they're right there. She didn't ask for National Guard. She specifically said no, because in June, the 6 months before, they had that shit with the park. And she said she didn't want National Guard then, and she says she doesn't want National Guard January 5th.
He sent them anyway. This stuff isn't relevant. I gotta move it on. Appreciate you coming through. All right, moving on with the program. Somebody said someone get that man some knee pads. MAGA Reacts, he holds his own. I always enjoy talking to him, but I'll just say, whoa, that was nice. Who just sent that? Thank you for the support. Sent that Mike Chim. I appreciate that. Who sent that there? Bryce, thank you. I'm in the trenches, of course. Some of my viewers are going to make me work for it. That was crazy, but I enjoyed the conversation. That is MAGA Reacts. He's a friend of the program. Tap the screen, get you down up to 70,000. You know what we're talking about. Newsom said no, but Trump didn't listen. Yeah, Trump already knew he was going to send in the military. Now, I do agree with what my last caller was saying. The military really ain't needed out there. I agree with that. But Trump wanted to show that he the man, he can control shit, he's a fucking boss, and he was going to send the military there regardless. I mean, it didn't matter what Gavin Newsom or the mayor of LA said. He was going to do that anyway. Now, and that's why my last caller is kind of tongue twisted because Trump is on air bragging about how great the military he sent is getting things under control. But as my last caller is pointing out, the military ain't really doing shit. But it left him with the challenge of then explain why the hell's Trump saying this. And that's where, well, we'll just go back to the media because I don't even want to talk about the fact that Trump is lying. He holds his own more like swallows someone else's, oh my Lord, name. Name. Okay, okay. By the way, folks who want to come up, we are on TikTok and Insta. We're currently, come on over to TikTok. We'll bring you right up. The Handsome Liberal, come on over to Clapper. We're also live on Clapper. We'll bring you right up. So, but unfortunately, YouTube does not allow us to take actual audio calls. If it did, I'd bring you right up from there. But if you come to TikTok or Clapper, we'll bring you right up. Looking in the comments, though, going on with the program. Uh, we will continue on with the one and only Mike. Good evening, Mike. Welcome to the program. Getting yelled at like children, says Teddy Owens. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Mike, good evening. You always follow MAGA Reacts. Good evening to you.
Yeah, that's because you always bring me up after that bullshit. Hey, listen, I would probably be 10 pounds lighter from drinking if you didn't bring me up. Bring me up before him. No, I'm just playing. Hey, listen, did you hear MAGA Reacts? I've been in and out. Did you read what Trump posted on True Social today?
I have not.
About the immigrant. I'm going to read this shit. This is from Trump today on True Social about immigration. Okay. So now he's saying we've gone too far. You didn't read that?
No.
Yeah, MAGA Reacts. Our farmers are being hurt badly. You know, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. So he plans to sign an executive order to address the fact that they're basically done too much on immigration.
Yeah. Cal was on the program earlier and he said that. He said that Trump talked to his bosses and they're like, you fucking up our businesses by deporting these people. So he had to, because I heard Nebraska, I've heard them say that if Trump kept doing what he's doing with the farming subsidies cut, the tariffs stopping them from sending their soybean and stuff to Canada and getting rid of their labor force, that the whole state, which is a big agricultural state, was going to go bankrupt. And we know Nebraska is a very red state. So, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, so he's admitting something that we've been talking about for fucking months? Like we've been talking about this. So you mean to tell me the MAGA Reacts and those supporters of his, he didn't know that just doing discriminative deportations and these raids, that it was going to hurt people, that it was going to hurt businesses, that it was going to hurt the How the fuck do you not know this?
That's a good question.
The problem is he did know. He told us they were going to do this. So what does that mean to everything that's going on right now, Tim? All of these ICE raids, all of this shit, he's literally saying, yeah, we probably shouldn't do it this way. So what was all this for, Tim? $150 million in LA, National Guard, Marines, threatening to arrest the governor, all this. What was all this shit for if you're going to turn around and say, I'm going to sign an executive order to slow this shit down? There's a better, his words, there's a better common sense way to do it. That's what he posted today.
Yeah, what I don't get, and I've said this many times on the program, is why our congressional body that's a Republican base is just letting him do this stuff. I mean, clearly, because like I said, you can't really make any solid moves on somebody who flips and flops like that. Like, the whole notion that the tariffs are going to cause manufacturing jobs to come back to this country. And then the next day he changes what the tariffs are. So, how can you make any type of business decisions on somebody who may change their mind at a whim like that and just do it with executive order and you can't depend on nobody to stop them? You just do it.
Listen, that's okay, Tim. That's why consumer confidence is as low as it's been since the bid, and before that since 1952. I mean, it's because of what you just said. He makes a decision. He plays a hokey pokey with everybody. And people are being harmed along the way. And we know that they don't give a fuck about Army people because their whole thing is about harm, not harm reduction. I mean, think about what's happened for him to put that out today after this entire thing here in California First of all, it was staged. Because when Tom Holman says he was there Wednesday and the protest didn't start till fucking Friday, it tells us what their intentions were the whole damn time.
How about that? How about that, Tom Holman? You think he's doing a good job?
No, I think he's doing exactly what they want to do, Tim. I think he's doing. Listen, this is how I feel. There is no one working underneath Trump that I'm going to hold accountable for what they're doing more than him. Because they wouldn't be doing it if he wasn't allowing it. Yeah. They wouldn't be doing it if he wasn't feeding it. That shit he did at Fort Bragg yesterday, at Fort Bragg, and they're selling. Did you talk about that yesterday?
What are you talking about? Renaming the bait? Well, no, Fort Bragg's already been renamed. No. Bait. What are you talking about?
When he was, you got to go out to military.com. It's right on the front page. They staged.
Oh, you talking with the soldiers obviously being polarized?
Yeah. And handpicking them, and selling merch, and selling white privilege cards and jewelry and trinkets and shit.
He sold. They were selling white privilege cards.
Yes, and merch and necklaces and trinkets and shit on the base. They had a pop up from one of their subsidiary companies selling "Make America Great" to the soldiers, Tim. To the soldiers. If that's not fascism, if that is not fascism. He was saying, I want to make sure he didn't want any fat soldiers up front. If they didn't agree with him, they're supposed to swap out. This is our military. I don't give a fuck what anybody says in the comments. Go to military.com and read the shit for yourself. Don't ask me. That's what they did.
Dencal sourced the same site. He said it as well about an hour or so ago.
Tim, all of this, and to turn around and say, and listen, in the comments, you can call bullshit all you want. Just go look it up.
I haven't seen it, but I think you make the third or fourth person on the show and in person. I believe it. I mean, it does. There's nothing about what you're saying that sounds out of pocket for somebody like Trump. I mean, it's just part of the whole trolling atmosphere.
Tim, don't worry about it. You know, I don't stand up here without receipts. You know that, right?
Yeah, I don't even think you need one on this. This just literally fits Trump all the way. Whether you like him or hate him, this sounds like something he would do.
Okay, fine. What does that say, Tim?
Hang on a second. I actually have his tweet you mentioned up as well, but
okay, I want you to read that too.
Okay, what does he have? Tim? It says Bragg soldiers who cheered Trump's political attacks while in uniform were checked for allegiance appearance. Yeah.
Right. What is it? Oh, hold on. And matter of fact, because now I have to subscribe to it. But this right underneath this, and all you guys got to do is go to it. Right underneath this paragraph right here is where it talks about they had a pop-up selling "Let's Make America Great Again" merch and all of that shit.
Well, then the obvious next question is going to be, now, what site is that? Because they're going to say that's like MSNBC, or what site are you getting that information from?
Military.com.
Yeah. Wow.
Military.com. Listen, you know I'm not getting up here with no bullshit, Tim. You know, that's not that, because here's the thing. That's not the motivation. The motivation is to make sure that we're transparent about what's going on and what's out there. And I don't care what anybody says. When you look at what he put on his True Social today, saying now we need to pull back the reins on this immigration. We knew that, Tim. We knew innocent people were going to get caught up in this. Yeah. So tell that to the girl that had cancer. Tell that to you understand what I'm saying? It's like, what are we talking about?
I mean, this is what MAGA Reacts was talking about, in which the media highlights some stuff and not highlight. What you're talking about, that military.com information, that's something the media should highlight, is that Trump took the military and literally picked out MAGA members to put behind him. And then, of course, was selling MAGA merchandise to him. So obviously that's politically polarizing the military. That's something the media should cover, because Fox News, if Obama was up there picking black officers to stand behind him that had a liberal mindset, Fox News would not stop playing that. But all of a sudden Trump does it, and it gets little to no attention at all. I mean, that's about as wrong as the days are long.
Well, listen, we don't even have to go that far. Nobody talks about it. The president is not supposed to be wearing these "Make America Great Again" hats. He's not supposed to be wearing it. You do understand that, right?
Well, because of merchandise he sells?
He's not supposed to be wearing anything partisan, Tim. They're not supposed to do any of that shit.
Wow.
They're not supposed to do any of that. So he wears his Make America Great Again hat, and he's going on these military bases being partisan, being unbecoming of officers to buy his merch.
It's interesting. It's interesting you would say that, because I do not recall seeing Obama or George W. Bush ever wear Republican or Democratic gear while they were actual president. That's I never thought of that. I didn't know that.
Never. Matter of fact, Obama, they got on him for not wearing the fucking flag pin. I mean, what do we listen? It's so funny how fucking fast we forget what the normal cadence in this country is. And this is, listen, I'm gonna say this, Tim.
Wait, hold on. Somebody said Make America Great Again is not partisan. It is a national ideal. Make America Great Again is literally his campaign slogan. And the hat is from the campaign. What are you talking about? It's not partisan. It's literally like the symbol of his whole campaign. It's not part. Go ahead, Mike.
Look, MAGA's not partisan. Fuck out of here. But here's I wanted to say this last night. And this is to what white America is failing to realize when they say that we are race baiting and we're victims. They're not really lying to us, you guys. They're lying to you. They're not lying to us. They can't tell us our history wasn't our history. They can't tell the people that have been oppressed that they weren't oppressed. They're convincing you that it's not a real thing. People tend to forget that, Tim. They're not saying these things because we don't know. They didn't change the Southern strategy because we didn't know. What do you think? Do you think they demonized DEI and woke because we don't understand it?
No.
They did it because they know that they don't understand it. And that they can call it whatever they want and they won't buy it. That's what the person just said. MAGA is not bipartisan. Think about that, Tim.
I don't know why. Listen, the hat is fucking red, which is the color of the Republican. I mean, everything about this hat is partisan. I mean, for God's sake, it's even got the presidential 45 the fucking hat. How could you tell me that this hat is not partisan? I mean, look, I understand some things the liberals or the media can go too far on, but suggesting a MAGA hat is not partisan, as if you see some guys walking down the street with MAGA hats on and you think they're liberals, is fucking insane. The hat is incredibly partisan. Anybody wearing it, you assume is a Trump supporter. You think you see the hat on people, that's a Kamala Harris supporter right there wearing the MAGA hat. That's insane. Go ahead.
And again, Tim, this is why we are where we are. This is why we're so close to losing our democracy, because people are making excuses for seeing the senator getting taken to the ground like he was today. And then they want to say, well, he lunged at, man, listen, that is very authoritarian today, what we saw. That's very dictatorial today, what we saw, where we're talking about threatening to arrest governors and handcuff senators and do all those things. But
they didn't threaten to handcuff a senator. They actually did that shit. But since you're talking about that, what do you think about what's on the monitor? I mean, will we survive the Trump years? Most of my viewers have said, look, it might be a few bumps and bruises, but at the end of the day, we'll be okay and we'll go on to have another president like always. What say you?
Tim, I'm gonna be honest. I told you this from the beginning, and you thought I was being hyperbolic and crazy. I told you, I don't know, because it's not just here; it's abroad. All of the things that are happening here are making us a lot more vulnerable abroad. Our foreign. Think about everything. Our relationship with our allies is probably at the lowest it's ever been in probably 40 years. Think about how, again, I thought no new wars. What we are on the brink of one. Iran is telling us that under no uncertain terms, anything jump off, we can touch all of your host sites. We're going after the U.S. directly. You did see that, right?
I saw that, and I'll tell you, I've said this many times on the show. After Trump broke the Iran deal that Obama put in place, they would be the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet to make another deal with Trump. I mean, he has shown them that the next dude that come after him can break the deal just like he did. At this point, making any deal with the United States should be off the table with Iran. He has shown them you can't trust the United States because he broke the deal they had already made with us. So if I'm them, like, okay, we gonna have to just deal with what you gonna do. I'm not giving up what we working on in hopes that the deal I make with you, the next guy ain't gonna break like you did. He kind of ruined our word and our credibility by doing that.
Well, exactly. And I'm gonna tell you this: you were championing him, saying he did shut the border down and he did bring the number down to 94%. But our U.S. businesses here are saying that was a mistake. Our numbers are down. We don't have the workforce we need. I told you it was shit when he did it. Because if you don't do things through the legal channels and legally and just say, I'm just going to shut it down, deploy U.S. troops, everything is costing us money, Tim. Listen, everything is costing us money.
But here's the problem, Mike. The average American citizen, small business with the tariffs, some people are seeing it, but the average American citizen is not suffering under Trump. At least not yet. It's only been 4.5 months or so. But the average American citizen, despite you talking about the tariffs, despite you talking about getting rid of immigrants and shit's going to go up in price or people are not going to work these jobs, the average American is not seeing that right now. It comes across as liberal fear-mongering. They're not seeing it.
They said Q3 of this year, we will start to see the impact.
Okay.
Q3
but here's the problem. Here's where I will give Trump credit for. Because they were originally saying for July 4th, it was going to be pain because the price of all the shit, barbecue and stuff you buy was going to go up. And then he moved the tariffs, so that didn't happen. They're saying Q3, but you got to keep in mind, nothing Trump has done is etched in stone. When we get closer to Q3, if it starts looking like there may be some suffering, he can move the numbers again so that the time it happens is pushed out in the future.
You're 100% right. But here's what the average person doesn't know because they don't get online. Like somebody said, prices are stabilizing. Go do some research. Listen, it's my business. Prices aren't stabilizing and the summer's coming. A lot of prices go up anyway. Now they're actually higher, so they're not stabilizing because companies don't know what to do because the uncertainty causes all of this. If they don't know what to do, they make decisions, good, bad, or indifferent. There is always an impact downstream. Look at your beef prices right now. Look at your pork prices right now. They're going fucking through the roof.
Well, like I just stated, until the citizens see it happening to them specifically, price of groceries have went up a little bit, but the price of gas is still quite nice to most Americans. They're not suffering the way the liberals are telling them and the media is telling them. It may happen in the future, but until it happens right now in their face, they're not going to get Trump bad marks. It's just not happening right now. And Trump is taking advantage by telling you, see, the liberals are lying. It's not as bad as they're saying it's going to be.
Right, and that's what they do. And I know you got to go, but the funny thing is, they're always talking about liberals are lying, but everything that's happening right now with this immigration and Trump's deportation and talking to the military and this very fascist, we've been talking about this for months. And it's happening real time. And they still want to say it's not what it is. This revisionist history is crazy, but people are being hurt by this revisionist history. And just so you know, in May, consumer pricing, groceries went up 2.9%, housing went up 3.9%, and gas went up 12% in May.
All right.
But hey, I guess they're just fucking numbers, Tim. I guess they're just numbers.
They're just numbers. Mike, appreciate you coming through. All right, moving on with the program. Thanks, Mike. All right, moving on to the program. Liberal Annihilation is Beautiful. I love the name. That's the individual's name. Liberal Annihilation is Beautiful says, imagine having a liberal college degree and thinking you are smarter than everybody else. Please, Father, God, help them Democrats. Well, I'm going to counter by saying, imagine having no degree at all and think you're smarter than everybody else. So understand that it ain't just the people with the degrees that think they're smart. A lot of folks who have no degree at all is telling you George Soros is setting the world on fire and that Q is coming back to defend us all. So understand it does work without the college degree as well. This caller takes bananas sideways. Ouch. Can't afford condoms for Palestinians anymore. Yeah. Like I said, I go back to my original statement. We were told we need to stop sending money overseas, America first. If you do it that way, you can help take care of vets, the homeless, and taking care of American citizens first. Trump came in, no money is going underseas anymore. No money to Ukraine. No money to USAID. Trump has made it so no money is going overseas anymore. Do you hear any groups in America bragging about how they're getting helped now that we stopped sending money overseas? Have you heard any of them tell you help is along the way? Have you heard any of them tell you they got promised that help is in the future? No money overseas. No help for you either. Literally, have you heard anybody? The vets talking about, well, wow, he said in December he's going to do it. Have you heard anybody saying that? Because I see in the comments, Willie G is saying it takes time. Have you heard any promises made to those groups? Has any of those groups sounded satisfied to you in which they believe help is along the way? In fact, if you ask me, MAGA's still ridiculing the homeless in this country. They're not talking about helping them. They're ridiculing them. No money overseas is going to help Americans. No Americans are being helped. In fact, Elon is not even head of Doge anymore. Whatever happened to the promise of potentially 5,000 or 6,000 in stimulus checks going to everybody? Whatever happened to that? You saved billions in waste, fraud, and abuse. Has anybody felt any of those savings at all? Has anybody looked at their life and said, man, I'm doing much better that they saved all that tax money? Has your life improved financially at all from any of that? Because a lot of people's lives have become nothing but utter misery because of it. They're estimating with the USAID cancellation, as many as 600,000 folks abroad have passed away because we stopped helping with HIV research, HIV treatments, prescriptions, medical, all of that stuff we used to do for those poor countries has ended. But nobody's benefited from putting that misery back on them. Same thing with the Ukrainians. No money's going to the Ukraine. You think that hasn't resulted in some deaths of Ukrainian citizens? You think ain't nobody died because of what we're doing? If you're going to do things that result in all this misery, you should at least be able to talk about who benefited from causing all of that. I don't hear anybody in this country talking about how much better they feel or how much better their lives have been improved for all the misery we've delivered. I don't see it. Maybe it'll come out in the future, but right now, I don't think anybody has an answer. The national debt is increasing as much as ever, Jeremy. Yep. And there's somebody who might say that as well. Fuck Trump last month, any Afghan. This says here, F Trump. Last month, my Afghan veteran cousin shot himself in the heart. Oh my God. He had PTSD, and these motherfuckers talked about vets. F this cabinet and family. Wow. I don't have anything to say to that. Very sympathetic to what you're saying there. And I don't know the validity of your case or not. I'm not going to criticize what you said one bit, but my guess is your family member is not the only Afghan that helped out our military that feels that way. Some of them have already been deported. So what are they doing in Afghanistan? Running from the Taliban? I mean, if you helped out the USGIs and then the US sent your ass back to Afghanistan, that's got to be akin to being a serial pedophile being sent to population in prison. How safe could it? Has anybody seen Guy Ritchie's The Covenant? It's just a movie, but it does feature someone like that, an Afghan that helped us out and was about to be left in Afghanistan. Can you imagine the whole nation thinks you're a traitor? We're doing that to people. We are currently doing that to people. Looking in the comments, though, the Golden Dome is totally unnecessary. You're talking about like the Iron Dome that Trump is talking about building over the United States. I can't speak on whether it's unnecessary or not. It's way above my technological knowledge. But after seeing what the Ukrainian is able to do with drones, I got to assume it ain't something that can't be defeated. If you can get close enough to U.S. shores with a bunch of those damn things, you can wreak havoc on coastal cities easily. So I don't know if the Golden Dome is unnecessary, but I definitely do not believe it is something that guarantees our safety anymore. Because think about it. When you think about what the Ukrainians have been through, they're in a weakened state. They're receiving aid from us and things like that. And by the way, I think Biden was part of that drone attack that the Ukrainians just did on Russian aircraft in about a week or two ago. I believe Biden has something to do with that. But I just simply say, if they could do that much damage, imagine what a country with some real money could do. Imagine how many drones a nation like China could produce. You can't shoot all that shit down. You can't stop all of that. I mean, they could literally release thousands of those things. I mean, just imagine a nice hot summer day, and you're at a stadium watching a ball game or something like that. You know, people are traveling out and about, riding bikes and shit like that, and all of a sudden the town encounters thousands of those things. Thousands of those things just start flying over a major U.S. city on a hot summer day. Can you imagine? You think October 7th in Israel was bad? You know, a hot summer concert going on, people outside enjoying it. Can you imagine how the massacre, what the scene would be like? We don't even have the medical and, ambulatory resources to deal with something like that. We don't have the hospitals. We don't have the bed. We don't have any. It would be a mess. It would be a mess. You could literally put a U.S. city to his knees doing it. Looking in the comments, and it doesn't cost a lot to do it. It doesn't cost a lot to do that. Those drones are cheap. I mean, you're talking $200 to $500 or so a pop. That's cheap compared to Trump launched an attack on Syria in 2017. Each Tomahawk cost $500,000, and he launched like 60 of them, and like 6 people died. Can you imagine if all of that was used on? I mean, it could be mayhem. Looking in the comments though, and thank you folks that are tapping the screen. We should be around a 90. Tap the screen, show your boy some love. Isn't that the constitutional oath? What did that say? I don't know what just happened with my screen there. If the United States go to war with Iran, it's for their oil. Well, if the United States goes to war with Iran during the Trump administration, they are going to lose their oil. Trump said that in Iraq that we should have took the oil. So yeah, if we go to war with Iran under the Trump administration, yeah, I mean look what he's talking about doing in Gaza and shit like that. Under Trump, I don't see Trump as the kind of president that is going to go to war with a nation, meet the objective, and then leave the nation and allow them to rebuild themselves. My guess is if Trump wins a war with a nation, he's going to conquer it, like occupy it. That'll be ours. I mean, he's a real estate mogul. He used to owning shit. So if we go to a war with Iran, it's probably going to become a territory. That would be my guess. And I think MAGA would be cheering that shit on. It'll probably become a territory. One of the most unsafe territories they ever visit. But looking in the comments, jail is way too good for Trump. Well, he's turning 79. Anybody going to be watching the parade on TV this weekend? One of the largest military parades in U.S. history. Anybody going to be watching that? It's a good about 90 million, I think they estimated at the high end. 90 million for your entertainment. You're going to be watching that parade. We'll see. If real quick in the comments before we move it on. No, sir. What time? My guess, it's going to be in the daytime, so probably, 10, 11 o'clock. The networks are probably going to start covering it. Anywhere between noon and 2. I don't know what time that parade is. Does anybody know? Has anybody heard? I haven't looked at the local TV listings, but my guess is it's going to probably be, anywhere between noon and 2 or 3 o'clock. Anybody watching it? Trump is threatening that anybody protests is going to be met with brutal force, so it could be must-see TV. We're gonna watch it all. We're gonna watch it all unfold this weekend. Shit show. Well, everywhere I know, I have friends in Milwaukee. I go, I'm a Chicago kind of guy. Everywhere I know, they're having protests. All of the Indianapolis, Madison, Wisconsin, all of the Midwest cities that I'm normally frequent, Cleveland, Columbus, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Grand Rapids, Detroit, every city I know. I don't want to sound like Nate Dogg, but every other city we go, everywhere I know, they're talking about having protests. So we'll see what happens. Protesting what? The protest is, you say, what are they protesting? The protest is called No King's Day. as you see on the screen behind me shortly if it pops up. But they're suggesting that the Trump administration is trying to be a king, and the protests are in suggestion that we don't need a king in this nation. You know, like what was her name? Tina Turner. We don't need another hero. We don't need another king. So no King's Day. Nationwide Day of Defiance. That is the place card for it. And briefly, we talked about this yesterday. I don't know if I still have the map, but apparently it's happening all over the country. I don't know what I just did with the map, but oh, here you go. The map for it on the screen here. There's the United States. I gotta get an HDMI cable, but the map for it shows all of the locations that there's allegedly supposed to be a protest. There you go. So that's most of the populated United States. That's better coverage than Verizon, if you ask me. Anyhow, I do appreciate near 90,000 likes. Protesting Juneteenth sounds weird for Democrats. Why would you protest Juneteenth? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you get the fucking holiday off too. I don't understand. You know, I did a show in 2021. We were on live the day that Juneteenth was designated as a holiday, the first one, and I had a lot of MAGA that thought it was a stupid holiday and all. I'm like, you get it off too. If you're a federal employee, you get the holiday off. Why would you be against that? Remember, the Democrats are the party of the KKK and vote for me, you ain't black and all of this shit. The Republican Party is where you want to go. If you're a black man, right? Why the hell are so many MAGA criticizing Juneteenth? I still don't understand that. It's amazing at how many MAGA had odds with that holiday when Joe Biden designated it. Even though the Democrat Party is the party of slavery and Jim Crow South, the Republicans are the ones that freed the slaves, remember that? But they don't want a holiday designated to the day they freed them, huh? You actually freed the slaves, but you got a problem with Juneteenth giving credit to the work that you are bragging for doing. Can somebody make that make sense? Kind of shows you that a party switch may have taken place, huh? Anyhow, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, actually criticizing Juneteenth and bragging that you freed the slaves all in the same sentence. Gosh, can't make that shit up. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I appreciate you folks tuning in. 90,000 likes if you enjoy this type of civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle. Follow your boy if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok. Give me a subscription on YouTube if you will, Monday through Friday. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. I got to step away. God.